This is Joe Bob Briggs here, and I am here to advise El Tiburon, the PMM, Tylord and Zomberry on their grave responsibilities as they approach this very important episode of the Retro Wave. They are attempting to rank 90s horror movies. So guys, the first thing you have to realize about the 90s is that was the beginning of that meta thing, those self-aware movies where the characters in the movie are talking about the rules of horror movies and horror tropes, and a lot of the action is based around knowing the history of horror. So unless you're Wes Craven making Scream, that is boring. So please do not reward those guys any more than they've already been rewarded. Look for the originals in the 90s. Now, I'm not going to give you any titles because that might bias you. But most filmmakers in the 90s were looking backwards. They knew the slasher was dead, but they made slashers anyway. They knew the Universal monsters would never come back, but they wanted to do homages to the Universal monsters. They were just snarky as fuck. So don't support that. Give your support to straight ahead, hardcore, original horror. Vote for the guys who came out of nowhere and scared the fuck out of us. And please, do not vote for any sequels, especially not for any movie with Amityville in the title. Now, there were 8 to 10 horror movies in the 90s that cost upwards of $60 million each to produce, and I can think of 2 of those that might deserve some recognition, but otherwise you got to go indie with this. You got to find the gems. It's not easy in the 90s, so you have your work cut out for you, but I know you can do it. So carry on, men.
Welcome back. Sorry, I had that music too loud. Welcome back to the Retro Wave. I am your host, El Tiburon. Back here again with my old buddies, my old pals. This month we're talking 90s horror movies. First, let me introduce my guest, the guy that has a PhD in Robert Davi movies, the professor, Tylord Stevenson. What's going on, Tylord?
Just happy to be here as usual. Thanks for inviting me. That was a fantastic intro you got from Joe Bob there.
Yeah, I thought we needed a pep talk.
Yeah, sounds like he likes the 90s horror about as much as Tight White.
Speaking of Tight White, or the artist formerly known as Tight White, we got the PMM. What's going on, man?
Brother,
yeah, that's my twin brother, man. That's not me. I am the physical media Mac, and I am back. What's up, man? Glad to be here. And yeah, man, it's an honor to be, presented with Joe Bob at the beginning of this podcast. He's my hero, so I love the guy.
For sure.
No homo.
And last but not least, the man that will never ever live down, picking Paranormal Activity as his all-time favorite horror movie, the consummate professional Zomberry.
Hey, I think that may have changed. My taste changed from month to month. What wise words from Joe Bob there. The 90s have to be one of the worst decades for horror movies. Glad to be here. Look forward to this.
So I wanted to bring up, I had you guys on last October, and we ranked our all-time favorite horror movies. And on all of our lists, not one 90s horror movie. Not a single one. Actually, if it wasn't for Zomberry, we wouldn't have had anything past the 80s, I think. Because Zomberry had a couple of new, like, more modern movies. You guys,
for what it's worth, The Thing is now my favorite. It's jumped up there.
It's too late. I think it's still Paranormal Activity.
Hey, we're making progress there. We're making a lot of progress.
Yeah, so I thought I'd bring you guys back on it, and we can show a little love to the 90s, since we didn't pick any last time. But before,
there's some good movies in the 90s. There's some good films. It's just the 80s is overwhelmingly better, and I would say the 70s is overwhelmingly better as well. And then we can argue with the 2000s. I think that's an argument can be placed for both sides.
I'm not gonna speak for you guys, but I know for myself, I think I'm gonna. I don't think Joe Bob Briggs would be proud of my list. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
Oh, so you mean that your top 5 is mainstream? What a surprise.
probably some sequels in there too.
Yeah. I wouldn't say they're you know, I'll get to them. You'll see what I mean.
No spoilers.
Yeah, but
It's funny because I wanted to pick, I don't know if you guys did this, but I picked Zomberry's top 5 and your top 5, Mario.
Oh wow! I did not do that.
You picked what we were gonna choose?
Yeah, but I didn't put them in any order though. And I started doing it and I ended up picking the same for both of you. So I don't think that's going to be true, but I'm still sticking to it because I think, if I'm doubling up, maybe I'll get one of yours. Yeah.
But last year, we also still hold the record for longest podcast episode on my podcast. I think over 4 hours.
Well, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yes, but we're just gonna get right into it because there's a lot of meat on the bone here. But as always, we got to pay the sponsors. Quick commercial break first.
I don't need some fancy cologne to tell me I'm a man. I use Skin Bracer. It smells great, but it also cools and tones my skin. Confidence is very sexy, don't you think?
Original and cooling blue.
By Menon.
That was a special request from Tylord.
I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome.
That's what was that guy? I don't even know. I just know him as the guy that got shot by Jack Nicholson.
Jack Palance.
Nothing to do with horror, but Tylord asked for it, so there you go.
Let's see how long we can go without any duplicates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just to be transparent, I collect the list from you guys, so I know all the picks, but I ain't saying nothing. We'll just
good.
Yeah.
Peel the onion as we go. So as always, we go from number 5 to number 1. We all picked our top 5 favorite 90s horror movies. So since Tylord sent me his list the day after I asked for the list,
So are you trying to say I'm going last?
Yeah. Since I'm the host, I always go last because I let my guests go first. But Tylord is going first. So let's go to Tylord's number 5 pick.
Have you ever heard of Candyman?
Look in the mirror and say it once.
Candyman.
For fun.
Wait a minute, that's the wrong pick.
We'll do it live.
What?
Hold on.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
I haven't pushed that one in a while.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Sorry about that. That is not Tylord's number 5. Let's go to Tylord's number 5.
You just wanted to use that cut, didn't you?
And imagine
Is snakes up there this big?
your greatest nightmare
From now on, everybody stays on board.
and find the shape
That's it, man. I'm getting the hell back to LA.
of all your fear.
Nobody move. Back on the boat! It's coming for you!
Anaconda, rated PG-13.
At number 5, Tylord's got Anaconda, 1997 movie. Tell us about this pick.
Right on. I thought maybe you got it wrong and you thought I picked Candyman, and that one came pretty close. So I thought maybe I forgot which list I sent you, but I didn't have any notes on that one, so I'd have to wing it. Anaconda, 1997. So there's no Jaws movies in the 90s, and that would have been on my list for sure. But Anaconda comes kind of close to a Jaws movie. I think it's probably like the closest thing to a 90s Jaws movie. And it's also sort of like a deep jungle, like thriller. There's the big snake. And the snake, you could say the CGI is kind of iffy, but I thought for the time it looked good. I saw this at the show. I can't remember if I was with my girlfriend or some of my buddies, but we really enjoyed it, got a kick out of it. Kind of funny too. I don't know if it's intentionally or unintentionally funny, maybe both. But I like the cast in here. Jennifer Lopez, always good to look at. And the movie isn't really that gratuitous with the butt shot. It could be a little bit more gratuitous, but you get a little sneak shot in there from time to time, which is good. But she's pretty good in this. She's not a bad actress. Jennifer Lopez and Ice-T as well, or Ice-T, Ice Cube. It sticks out there this big.
Let's hear that again.
It's kind of like a cool, like almost like a 50s horror movie, but updated in the 90s. Like it's kind of like a jungle adventure with all like the tropes. There's like the stuck up Englishman. He's kind of like the narrator of they're off in the jungle to do a documentary, and you got the cameraman. He's kind of like the hero of the story, Ice Cube, and then there's the producer and the director, Jennifer Lopez and Eric Stoltz, and then John Voight comes along to stir it up, and he's kind of like the antagonist. It's not only the snakes they got to worry about. This guy sabotaged the whole thing to go hunt snakes, and he's kind of a silly, over the top character. Maybe the Quint of the 90s. Maybe, I don't know. He's even worse of a person than Quint. Like Quint was a pretty cool guy, but this guy is like a villain. John Voight. I kind of like his role in this. Danny Trejo has a small role at the beginning, and he gets eaten by the snake. He's up on the pole. Is it like a radio tower or something? He climbs up there, and the snake's coming up to get him. He's going to shoot himself because he doesn't want the snake to eat him. I think it might be because snakes usually eat people head first, and he was hoping it would eat him feet first. I don't know if he with the foot fetish. I don't know.
Can you explain? Can PWM explain? Can
PWM was onto the Danny Trejo foot fetish thing.
Can you explain?
You know what? It's funny. I didn't even get that when you first said it. That's right.
Can you explain that?
I'm glad you enlightened me. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then I forgot Owen Wilson. This is one of his first movies. This is where I first saw him, and just something about that guy is hilarious. Like the way he talks, like, I don't know how to kill a snake, but I know who does.
He's so annoying.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good impersonation.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. Anyway, but I like the cast, and I like kind of like the progression of the story, the pacing of the movie. Kind of reminds me of a cool maybe throwback to the 50s, and also to a Jaws exploitation type movie. Big snakes. The animatronic snakes look really cool. The CGI, like I say, you could take it or leave it. And the set designs are cool. Like there's all the jungle. Jungle is always very photogenic for movies. It always looks nice. And some of the little shacks and the abandoned little facilities they go through. Yeah, that's about all it I got to say about that. Kind of a last minute entry because the other movie I thought was 90s was actually 2000s, but I'm glad I put this on here because I just rewatched it and I enjoyed it.
And any thoughts on this one, Zomberry? Have you watched this one?
Yeah, it's been probably 20 years since I watched it. Possibly only watched it once after it came out. But it is pretty funny. It's a good one. It kind of harkens back to the big monster movies. Like Joe Bob was saying at the beginning, that monster movies were kind of dead. They kind of brought that back a little bit. I like a lot of those that are like, the older ones from the 60s and the 70s that were like killer ants and killer bees and all the little tiny things that grow really big and kill people. It kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
What says you, PWM?
I mean, yeah, I liked it too. I mean, it's it's up there with like Lake Placid, movies like that. I prefer Lake Placid over it. And Tylord's right. I mean, it hasn't aged that well as far as the CGI and everything. But I will say this: John Voight is a horrible fucking actor in that movie. He is fucking horrendous. It is but it's hilarious. Like it's such an over the top performance. His voice is so annoying. It's just it's funny, man. I love it.
Well, I got nothing to add because, as always, as per usual, I've never seen this movie, so.
Shocker.
I know, shocker there. But
We'll
now,
send it to you.
now we're gonna go to Zomberry's number 5 pick.
Have you ever heard of Candyman?
Look in the mirror and say it once.
Candyman.
For fun.
You don't believe all that nonsense anyway, do you?
Say it again.
Candyman.
For a scare.
A woman died in there. Leave it.
Say it 5 times.
No one ever got past 4.
You're dead.
Candyman.
Try it. We dare you. Candyman. Rated R. Now playing.
At number 5, Zomberry's got 1992's Candyman. Tell us about this one.
Yep, 1992 with the infamous Tony Todd and Virginia Madsen. It surprisingly got a 79 on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's still holding strong. Even after the most recent remake that I have not watched yet. But it's a good movie. It kind of follows the Bloody Mary, but they wanted to set it in like an urban Chicago area. And what's kind of crazy about this, it released a few months after the LA riots, and so there was a lot of racial tension in the news. And now you have a slasher movie that's come out that is mostly centered around the Black community and in the projects in a place called Cabrini Green, which was an actual project building in Chicago, located between a couple of kind of upper class areas. So they shot there for a few days. A woman, Virginia Madsen's character, investigates a murder, and she's looking into some urban legends and discovers this Candyman that everybody in the projects talks about, who apparently comes into your apartment and kills you with a hook from I forgot how he says it, from like the groin to the gullet, I think. And throughout the film, they kind of show a little bit of this could be a supernatural thing, and then they explain it away with some real life, with like some drug dealer who's trying to pose as Candyman, and maybe that's what they're all afraid of. She finds a lot of tunnels in the walls behind medicine cabinets, so maybe that's how he really gets into apartments. But of course, at the end, you find out it really is a supernatural being who's killing people. And what I liked about this one is it's one of those slasher films where the bad guy actually talks to the characters. He's not a Jason. He's not, Chucky or Michael Myers. He's not as wacky as Freddy Krueger, who does talk a little bit, but more tongue-in-cheek stuff. But he kind of tries to explain away like why he's doing this and what he wants, and he's following this woman because he reminds her of his wife we lost. But it's a really good movie, really good effects. They didn't do any CGI. They used real bees. I read that they used 200,000 bees on set, and a lot of the cast members had to wear bee suits when they were shooting. And Tony Todd, there's a scene in it where he goes to kiss Virginia Madsen at the end, and his mouth is full of bees, and he really had to put in a mouthpiece to kind of protect the inside of his mouth. But he was covered in bees and had bees in his mouth in this scene. But he did get a bonus. He got it written into his contract that he would get $1,000 for every bee sting he suffered, of which was 23. So quite a few bee stings. I also read that Virginia Madsen in that scene had an on-set hypnotist and had to be hypnotized before doing that scene with them. She was highly allergic to bees, even though the ones they used didn't have stingers. She was still freaked out and had to be hypnotized before the scene. But I think everything kind of, everybody dies in the end. But apparently there's a part 2 that went straight to DVD or straight to VHS that I have never seen. So there is a sequel, and that was my number 5, Candyman.
You almost had it on your list, Tylord. What are your thoughts on this one?
Oh, I like this one. I don't think I watched it when it first came out, but maybe when I was in college or later on, I watched it and it had a big impact on me. Like, it was a very memorable film, and always Virginia Madsen, I always had a crush on her, and like she really goes through a lot of crap in that movie. Like she has, I think it's a pretty good performance from her. Like she goes through a lot of weird stuff. Also, I was thinking, like you mentioned, the gang member that they thought maybe that was Candyman. Remember, he knocked her out at one point.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe the rest of the movie after that, she was dreaming, like all the supernatural stuff. That was like a theory I had, but I don't think that holds with the story. But that was like one thought I remember thinking when that gang member knocked her out with a hook or whatever. And the rest of the movie, like supernatural stuff started happening. I thought maybe like she'd dreamt it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. That scene was probably second after Train Spotting, the worst bathroom scene ever.
Yeah.
That shit. Fucking. So I actually saw this movie, and I saw it in the theaters as a kid, and I don't think I had seen it since then until now for this podcast. And I think because I was so scared of it as a kid, like it legit fucking scared me, especially that restroom scene where the kid goes into the restroom, right, to use the urinal, and the Candyman like chops off his wee-wee. And oh, that shit scared me. This movie scared me as a kid. It was like kind of very like I don't know, just a very intense movie.
Yeah.
What says you, P-double-M? What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, like Tylord said, I didn't see this when it first came out. I saw it many years after the fact, and I'm a big fan of it. Like Zomberry said, man, I thought it was so cool that it was actually in the Cabrini Greens projects after they had been condemned, how they recorded, many days there. I just thought that was such realism to the film, or added such realism to the film. And it was kind of like a double horror. It was like this white woman is in this all black area. That's one of the most dangerous places in the United States. And then you have, of course, the Candyman part of it. I love it, man. It's a cool film, man. Yeah. And the bees too, man. That's awesome that they had live bees. I love realistic shit like that.
She had to do some meetings with the NAACP up there, like before they shot, to really get some clearance with some stuff and how they were being portrayed.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I saw the document. I watched like the Scream Factory Blu-ray, and I watched that when they're talking about the bees, and I heard they use like baby bees or like infant bees because they don't sting as much or some shit.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a part 2 and 3, if I remember correctly. I think there was a 3.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's one called like something The Flesh or something. Candyman.
Farewell to the Flesh.
Yeah, there you go. Uh-huh. Yeah, but
I haven't seen. I guess the remake was by, or not the it was like a reboot, right, of the franchise by Justin Peele.
Oh, Jordan Peele.
Or George Peele.
Jordan.
Of what did he make? Get Out, and the new movie that I think Zomberry saw that I don't think any of us saw.
I saw it. Nope.
Oh, you did see it?
Yeah.
You know that movie takes place 15 minutes from my house? Like
wow, that's cool.
The exit Agua Dulce is 15 minutes from my exit where I live.
That's badass.
So now every time I look at the clouds, I'm like, oh shit.
So not to get off topic, but did you like it, or was it bad, or what?
I think with Jordan Peele's movies, I'm always like not sure after I watch them, but they make me think a lot, and then I'm like, I want to watch that again.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of his last movie, but I felt the same way after I watched it.
Us.
Yeah, Us. That's a weird one to evaluate and to review. It's a very difficult film.
Yeah. So with Candyman, since I talk a lot about wrestling on here, so Candyman was in my number 4, number 5 for like, I watched like 15 movies and it was hanging on. So Tylord, it was like in that Rick Martel spot, like 1991 Royal Rumble. Like he couldn't. Candyman was hanging on to that like number 5 spot, hanging on to the ropes. Nobody could eliminate him, and then finally, I think it ended up on my list like number 7 or 8. Candyman's good, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be on the majority of people's list. It's a good film for sure.
Like a legit scary movie.
Mm-hmm. Who directed that, by the way?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, it wasn't. I don't think it was. I don't think it was a big time director.
I got it right here. It's Candyman. Bernard Rose. I can't remember what he did. I think mostly just nothing really stuck out to me that he did other than that. I know he's done quite a few works.
Well, that's cool. Good job on that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was Zomberry's number 5. We're gonna go to what do I call you? Do I call you Mac PWM? I don't even know what to call you anymore.
You can call me J Mac PWM.
All right.
Mac.
All right,
call
Mac.
me Mac.
Mac. We're gonna go to your number 5 pick now.
So what are you doing after school?
Magic.
It's called the craft.
Oh my god.
And it's a force so powerful.
You're a witch.
Surprise.
It's too powerful to control. On May 3rd, the witching hour begins. The craft.
Girls, watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Rated R.
Number 5, J Mac has The Craft.
I love that part of the film where the bus driver tells her, watch out for the weirdos, and she puts her glasses down and she's like, mister, we are the weirdos. Love that. How many of you guys thought this would be in my top 5? And how many of you guys have seen this film?
I saw it.
I knew.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I knew it would be in there.
You've
definitely
seen
seen it.
You've seen it, Steve?
Well, I don't think so. If it was 20 years ago, and I wasn't really paying attention.
Mario, did you see it?
I saw it back in the 90s in the theater, and I saw it for the purpose of this podcast episode. But I think it's top 20, but it's not in my top 5.
All right. So basically The Craft, and remember this, you guys know I'm a big fan of witch movies, so I had to throw a witch movie in my top 5 for sure. Remember this film came out in 1996, and we'll talk about it after we've done all of our 5. And I have a very interesting aspect to the year my films came out. So remind me of that because I'm going to forget later on, Mario. So basically, this is a coming-of-age, teenage, high school film about a group of girls who are bullied by the popular crowd, and how they turn the tables on them using witchcraft. Now, this is the first time I've ever seen Fairuza Balk in a movie, and she fucking blew me away. Like, she is the ultimate goth chick. Like, and it's not even so that she's like the greatest not that she did a bad job acting, but it's not even the fact that she's the greatest actress in the world. It's her overall look, her eyes, man. She's just so fucking badass looking. And I absolutely loved her in this film. And I was thinking to myself, kind of like we talked about on my YouTube channel about Apollo's character not getting really good roles and stuff. I feel like her, after this film, she should have got a ton of fucking great roles. I feel like she was underutilized. But then I started looking up her filmography, and she was actually in American History X. I loved her in that film. She was in Almost Famous. I don't know if you guys have seen that. She was great in that. She was in The Waterboy.
I remember her on that. She's the Waterboy's girlfriend, right?
Speaking of our boy Apollo, right? In his comeback, right? Yeah, exactly. And she was also in The Island of Dr. Moreau, which I have not seen. And she's been in you seen that? She's been in a ton of films, so I'm really a big fan of hers. I want to see. Yeah. I want to check out her filmography because I feel like
when she was a kid, she played in the Wizard of Oz, the second.
Stop stealing my thunder, man! I got that in my notes.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I got that in my notes. She was born in 1974, and that film right there that you're talking about, Zomberry, came out in 1985. So she was 11 years old when she played Dorothy in that film. I think I might have seen that, but literally in passing. Like, I cannot remember anything from that film. I almost want to say Michael Jackson was in the movie.
Was it The Wiz? The Wiz?
Yeah. Oh, so that's
no,
a
that was
different
The
film.
Wiz, yeah,
So I don't think I've seen that film, The Return of Oz.
It was really dark and scary for a kids movie back in the 80s. Like it was pretty good. Like I remember all the kids were scared of that movie.
Yeah, instead of the flying monkeys in the first one, they had these guys on like rollerblades with really long arms that were kind of crazy looking.
So I got to see that. She was super young in that film, but everything that I've ever seen her in, she's blown me away. And I just thought it was an iconic performance. It would not be in my top 5 if she was not in it. I just love her in the film. But I thought it was cool how, I like stuff where movies where kids are being bullied and stuff and they kind of turn the tables on people. And it was interesting how they did this film where they were getting bullied by all these popular kids, and then they started like mastering the witchcraft, and then they started, each one of them would cast a spell on somebody. And then I always remember the boy in this film was trying to get with the girl that was new in school, and she just barely got with the witchcraft crew. And he was trying to get her to go back to the house with him to have sex, and she like turned him down. Even though she liked him, she turned him down. She just wasn't that type of girl. So he goes back to school and says that he fucked her to everybody. And now it's going around the school. They're calling her a slut and all this shit. So her first spell is to cast a love spell on him. So when she casts the love spell on him, he's fucking, because he's like, after he tells everybody he fucked her, he's like, I don't want to talk to you no more in the hallway. He's like, you're a slut. Fuck you. I don't care about you no more. And then after she casts a love spell on him, like he is fucking like literally like so obsessed with her. Can I carry your books to school? Can I carry your books to class? And he's like carrying her books around, and his boys are like, man, you're a fucking bitch, man. What the fuck are you doing carrying her books and stuff? But he's like literally obsessed with her. He's on the fence at climbing the fence at home late at night, like screaming up to her window and shit. So I thought that was really cool. And then like this beautiful girl in school is like taunting this black girl when she's like trying to one of the characters when she's diving and stuff, and like just making her feel like shit and making her feel so uncomfortable, and even says a fucking racist term, like calls her a negroid or some shit like that in front of everybody. And all of a sudden that black girl casts a spell on her, and she's losing her hair. It looks like she has mange, and she's like crying and stuff, and like everybody's like feels so bad for her and stuff. But then how the film is like they, after they start casting all these spells on everybody and get all this power, they start to become power hungry and start to become even worse than the popular kids. Now they're bullying everybody and they turn evil and stuff. But the only girl that's not evil is the girl that was new in school. And now all of a sudden everyone turns against her, and it's a battle of the witches. But she has the most power, like she has like the most ability as far as a witch. And so yeah, man, I really enjoyed the film. I liked it a lot. Obviously there's another 90s witch movie out there that I could have selected, but this is one that, man, I hold near to the heart. I did watch this on Laserdisc, and I actually own, let me see, make sure I'm not lying to you guys. I own all 5 of the movies on my list on Laserdisc. And I watched every single one of them on Laserdisc.
Wait, there's 5 Kraft movies?
No, all 5 of the movies that I picked for my top 5.
Oh, okay. I thought you said there's 5 Kraft movies. All right.
Yeah, no, there's only one original Kraft, and I have not seen the Kraft Legacy that came out, I guess, earlier last year or this year.
So Tyler didn't watch it. You have any other thoughts on it, Zomberry?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one too. And I went to high school from 94 to 97. And I remember right after the Crow came out, the whole goth scene kind of picked up a bit after that movie. And then 2 years later, when The Craft came out, I knew so many girls in high school who just went complete goth or close to it with The Craft and Farouja Balk's character. So yeah, this one, I got some good memories from this one, being that I watched it when I was in high school.
Yeah, man, I just love Farouja Balk. I mean, have you guys seen her in American History X?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's the girlfriend of.
Yeah, she's really good in that one, that
Yeah.
film as well. I like her in everything that she does.
Do you think she was kind of pigeonholed because she always had the same look, like in The Waterboy and American History?
Yeah, but I mean, when you think of boxers, you think of Mike Tyson. When you think of basketball, you think of Michael Jordan. When you think of golf chicks, you think of her, and I don't mind that.
Yeah, she really rocked that look. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish she was in more like darker witch movies, actually. So I don't mind the pigeonhole at all for her.
She kind of reminds me of the girl in Night of the Demons, the girl that wears like the black dress and is dancing around.
I can see that. Yeah, I could see that.
All right, well, that was your number 5. We're gonna go to my number 5 pick now.
Gizmo. He's cute.
That furry thing?
He's cuddly. He's quick. But this time, he's caught in a new bunch of trouble. Uh-oh. With a new batch of gremlins. Now, he's mad. And he's not going to take it anymore. Gremlins 2, the new batch. Rated PG.
And my number 2, I've got Gremlins 2, the new batch. And just to be fully transparent, man, I like struggled with this one, putting this one at number 5 for like weeks. I even went on a Facebook group and I created a poll saying, is Gremlins 2 a horror movie? Yes or no? And then I think there was like someone else added an extra category and was like, it's 50-50 comedy horror. And that was like at 80%. So
is Gremlins 2 a Christmas movie?
I thought that was the first Gremlins. Does Gremlins 2 also take place in during Christmas?
I haven't seen it in a long time.
It might take place during Christmas.
But
I thought it did.
This movie I saw like 100 times as a kid because it was always on HBO. So anytime it was on, like I would just watch it, and I loved it then, but hadn't seen it since then. And when I watched all my movies this month for this podcast, I think I was smiling the whole time watching this movie. Like, man, this movie I think got better than I remember it being. And of course, wrestling fan here, it has a cameo with Hulk Hogan. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's why you picked this one.
it's got a Hulk Hogan cameo. Let's listen to Hulk Hogan's part of this movie.
We have gremlins in the projection booth. Could you help us? Gremlins? In this theater? Now? Okay, you guys, listen up. People pay good money to see this movie. When they go out to a theater, they want cold sodas, hot popcorn, and no monsters in the projection booth. Do I have to come up there myself? Do you think the Grimsters can stand up to the Hulkster? Well, if I were you, I'd run the rest of Gremlins 2 right now. Sorry, folks. It won't happen again.
So I think the Hogan rub for this movie, I had to put it at my number 5. I love this movie. I love how there's different variations of like the gizmos and the gremlins. There's like that fucking spider gremlin. There's like that sexy lady gremlin. There's like that smart gremlin that like talks all sophisticated. I don't know, Tyler, you got any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is one I really enjoyed when I was younger. I haven't seen it in many years. And I remember when it was on television or on the DVD or the VHS release, the Hulk Hogan part wasn't in it, but there was like a John Wayne part. Do you remember that?
No, John Wayne.
Like the part when they were in the theater, like John Wayne was on the screen and he was like talking trash to them or whatever, and the Hulk Hogan part wasn't on there.
What? Did he call them pilgrims?
Yeah, something. Yeah, it's been a long time, but I do remember. Yeah, but you're right. This is a fun movie. How there's all different kinds of gremlins. They get into the laboratory and they get mutated into different kind of gremlins. I think even Christopher Lee has a little role, like he's a scientist in there, right?
Yeah, and Gizmo turns into Rambo.
Yeah, he's Rambo. Yeah, that's a fun movie. Also, the NES adaptation was not bad. The video game, did you ever play it?
No,
never. Gremlins 2. I think it was like Capcom or Sunsoft. It was a pretty quality game. The Gremlins 2.
Yeah, but what do you think about this one, Mac? You ever seen it?
So let me ask you a question. Was this one less horror or more horror than the first
A
film?
lot less. It's like almost like a dark comedy. Like it's like very. You know how Joe Bob mentioned meta? This one is like very meta. Like it's very self-aware.
But it's darker, you think, than the first one?
No, it's more comedy. Like a lot more comedy.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, because the first one's not really. I mean, the first half of the first movie is very lighthearted. You know what I mean? And then it gets, of course, the horror elements to it and stuff. So I was wondering if this one's like more of a darker horror film.
This one might be like Evil Dead 2, right? To Evil Dead 1.
I don't know. I'm not letting you compare Evil Dead 2 because you hate Evil Dead 2.
Or Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 to the original. It's definitely more like slapstick. Like it's more comedy.
I haven't seen this one in many, many years. Like I do not remember. Like, so who directed the first film? Was it John Hughes?
It was Joe Dante.
Joe Dante. Okay, but he had nothing to do with the second one?
I don't know. Did Joe Dante do that one?
I don't know. You guys are the name people. You guys know all the producers, directors, the grip number 1, grip number 2. I don't know. Catering.
Hey, I know the directors of my 5. Come on now.
What do you think, Zomberry? Did I make a bad choice by choosing this at number 5?
No, it's a good one, and it is. I do like some of the slapstick in horror movies. You know, I'm a big fan of Army of Darkness and those kinds of things. There's a Key and Peele. You know, speaking of Jordan Peele, there's a Key and Peele skit about Gremlins 2. If you haven't watched that, it's a good one to go.
Oh, I've never seen that.
They're sitting around a conference room brainstorming how to make this movie, and they get to pick their own gremlin. You know, so they're like, "Oh, I'm going to pick a brainy gremlin." And Jordan Peele's like, "Oh, you mean one that can talk and sing New York, New York? It's in the movie."
Yeah.
Zomber, how dare you spoil Mario's number 1 pick? Army of Darkness.
Is that what you think I have as number 1?
I don't know.
All right. And this movie also earns points because it has I think the actress name is Phoebe Cates.
Oh right, yeah,
Phoebe Cates.
Oh my lord, yeah.
Even though she's a little more like I wouldn't say homely, but she's a little more like not provocative in this one. But still,
she's almost like Ali Sheedy in The Breakfast Club. No, little kind of downtrodden.
Speaking of John Hughes,
all right. Well, that was my number 5 pick. We're gonna go to Tylord's number 4 now.
Welcome to perfection, where there's nothing new under the sun.
We plan ahead. That way we don't do anything right now.
But under the ground,
What the hell are they?
it's big.
These creatures are absolutely unprecedented.
It's mean. It's ugly.
Stinks too.
And worst of all, it's hungry. Kevin Bacon. Tremors. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate.
At number 4, Tylord's got Tremors.
Yeah.
Dirt Jaws.
Exactly.
Tell us about
1990. Yeah, exactly. So this might be the Jaws of the 90s, and this is early on in the 90s. 1990. It still kind of has like that 80s flavor kind of overflowing into the 90s. That's why I really like it. I like the way it's filmed. The director's Ron Underwood, and he did City Slickers and a couple other ones from around that time. But and the movie's a $11 million budget, that's fairly modest, isn't it, for a big high production thing? But yeah, this is like the Jaws of the 90s. I love the pace of this movie. I love the comedy too. It almost feels like a comedy, but it gets pretty dark. Like it's a pretty intense like horror creature feature, but it's heavy on the comedy, and I enjoy all the comedy. I recently rewatched it, and I got a lot of good laughs. A lot of the adult humor I didn't get when I was a kid. I thought funny, like the kind of the sexual innuendo type jokes. I kind of laughed at. I didn't understand when I was a kid, but yeah, fun Jaws exploitation from the 90s. Like you hadn't really seen throughout the late 80s many of those Jaws exploitation type movies. This is like Jaws in the dirt, and I just love the pacing of this movie. kind of like how Jaws 2 has like a perfect pace, like it just keeps building up, and they're interesting characters too. Like all of the little townspeople are all interesting little characters, and the main stars I really love, Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon in this. They're just like blue collar handymen, but they're badasses and they're funny guys. It's like a buddy movie. I love their chemistry with everyone else in the town. That one dude, what's his name? Michael Gross is like the doomsday prepper, and his wife, Tito Santana's sister.
Reba McEntire?
Yeah, Reba McEntire. I knew you would get that one. Yeah, I love those characters. Like a lot of the characters, I thought that were just going to be fodder, or they were just going to get killed, but they ended up like destroying the worm with all of their weaponry, their arsenal that they had prepped for doomsday. Fun movie. The effects, I love the practical effects. I don't think there's any CGI in this, is there?
I don't remember.
I think it's all practical. It all looks fantastic. Yeah, funny dialogue. I like the little setting in the town. Oh, and I like all the kills. There's always like really creative kills. When we were kids, I remember even maybe before this movie, like we would play games like scenarios where don't touch the ground. There's like monsters under there, like stay on the rocks or stay on top of cars. I remember we would play games like that, and that kind of
like lava, kind of like the lava game.
Yeah, kind of like that. This movie like takes that and runs with it, like all the creative things they do to stay off the ground or stay on a hard rock. Really fun movie. Really cool creative kills. Like not only when the worms kill people, but like the way it's like Jaws ×3. Like every Jaws movie, they come up with some really creative way to kill the shark at the end, and this one has a few different worm kills, like really creative deaths for the worms.
The graboids.
Yeah, graboids.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah. The little guy from Big Trouble in Little China named him that. What's his name? The guy that played Egg in Big Trouble in Little China. He was like the store owner.
The guy that's always like squinting.
Yeah. He has like one eye. This Three Ninjas guy. Yeah, he always has one eye squinted.
Any thoughts on this one, Zomberry?
Yeah, I recently watched like the first 5 of them.
Oh, wow.
My son and I got on a Tremors kick a while back.
Yeah.
And they really don't start to go downhill until like part 4.
Yeah.
The first couple of sequels were pretty good. And I liked the what kid didn't use a broom handle to try to pole vault from rock to rock after watching that movie.
Right.
Some of the kills were good, although it didn't show a whole lot of on-screen kills. The guy that climbed the antenna and died up there from starvation or thirst or whatever.
Yeah.
The other guy that gets sucked down inside of their station wagon.
Yeah.
You don't see that happen. But yeah, it was a really good movie. Grab the elephant gun.
Hey, J Mac, if you were to look up in the dictionary a man, would you see a picture of Fred Ward?
Yes, most definitely. Yes, Mr. Remo Williams.
Yeah.
He looks like the ultimate man's man. Like he's just a man.
He doesn't fuck around. He's probably like 5'9", and I wouldn't fuck with him. I'm way bigger than him. Well, I'm going to have to pull a Mario here. You can call me Macchio. I've never seen this film.
Wow.
What?
Never watched it.
That's crazy.
It's worth a look.
Yeah, I need to check it out. I've heard some good things about it.
If
now.
If Candyman was in that Rick the Model Martel Royal Rumble 91 spot, I think this one was the Bob Backlund over 1993 Royal Rumble. Arco Arena over there by you, Tylord.
I just came so close to going to see that, but we didn't get tickets in time.
He was in that Bob Backlund spot before he got eliminated by Yokozuna. But
you guys' references are just going right over my head.
Like this movie was there, like number 4, number 5. It took a lot of movies for it to get eliminated, but it was there. It is a great one. I like you mentioned, Tylord. I love the camaraderie between Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon. Like,
yeah,
they have like awesome chemistry.
Yeah, right.
It kind of feels like if like it's one of us, like if we were in that situation, that's how we would be like fucking with each other, like two guys just
Right.
fucking around. All right, well that was Tylord's number 4. We're gonna go to Zomberry's number 4 now.
This Halloween, 6 strangers have been invited to a party. If they can stay up till dawn, they'll win $1 million each. The only catch is that they'll have to live through the night.
Let the games begin.
House on Haunted Hill. Rated R.
Number 4, Zomberry's got 1999's House on Haunted Hill. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, and I'm going to be surprised if all of you have seen this one.
No.
It is a remake of a 1959 film starring Vincent Price. Back then, the person who stayed in the haunted house won a whole $10,000, but of course it was 1959. In this one, if they can survive the night, each one of the people that do would win $1 million. If there was only one person left, they get the whole $5 million. So the movie takes place in an insane asylum that was previously used for some crazy experiments on the criminally insane people that were locked up in there. The doctor and nurses would do electroshock therapy, mind control, operations, inside their bodies to remove things and add things to see what would happen. And the wackos got loose, killed everybody inside, set fire to the place, and now some years later it's a haunted place that this guy Stephen Price, which I'm glad that they kind of alluded to Vincent Price's character. Jeffrey Rush plays Stephen Price. He was the guy that plays Captain Barbossa in all the Pirates of the Caribbean films. And get your sound effect board ready. It also stars Ali Larter from Varsity Blues and Final Destination, who's just beautiful.
Right.
Some of the other people in it, Tay Diggs and Chris Kattan from Saturday Night Live, because they wanted some comedy in there. So they got the Saturday Night Live guy and just said, "Hey, play yourself in this." So the movie did premiere on Halloween, which was pretty cool, and it was number 1 at the box office for a while. And so when these 6 strangers go into this house, the guy that brought them all together, he owns a string of amusement parks, and so he's always known to do some crazy, wacky shit with his amusement parks and haunted houses and things. So they kind of just took it all in jest until they all started getting killed off, either by the spirits that were in the house or by each other, because there's some subplots of revenge and love triangles and all kinds of shit between these people who didn't know each other, kind of like Clue, but with death. I applaud or I commend Joe Bob for saying there weren't a lot of good sequels, except for Gremlins 2 maybe, but
right.
He didn't say anything about remakes, even though this isn't really original. One of the cool things they did when they released this film, this was the first film released by this production company. I don't know if I got the right terms there. It's a production company or what. But when they released it, they gave the people who attended opening night kind of like a lottery ticket so that they could win up to $1 million, which is kind of a cool little gimmick. Unfortunately, they were going to do the same thing on their next release with 3D glasses for the movie 13 Ghosts. They were going to release that in 3D, but they didn't go through with that, which is really disappointing because that's one of my favorite films too.
That was in your top 5 last year.
Yeah.
All-time favorite.
So that was my number 4, House on Haunted Hill.
PWM. Any thoughts on this one, House on Haunted Hill?
There's a chance that I might have seen it, like when it around the time it first come out, but I don't really remember too much of it, so I really can't comment on it. I did know it was a remake, and I did hear some decent stuff from people about it.
Tylord, you seen this one?
Yeah, I saw this at the show. It's been a long time, but I did enjoy it. What's his name in there? Jeffrey Rush was really good in that. He kind of reminds me of James Woods, like his voice.
He looks a lot like James Woods.
Yeah, like something about the way he talks. He reminds me of James Woods.
You're good at You're good at impersonations. Do you have a James Wood?
No, I can't do him. A kid at my work, a little kid, he's like 20. He does it perfect because of Hercules. He can talk like the Hades from. But wasn't his wife Femke Jensen from GoldenEye in that, or his ex-wife?
I don't know.
Are you asking yourself?
I was thinking she was in that movie, but maybe I'm thinking of something else. But I remember it was an interesting movie, and there was like backstabbing going on, and a bunch of weird ghostly things going on in there. But it's been a long time since I see it, but I do remember I enjoyed it.
It's got some interesting kills in it. It's got one of the more famous scenes where one of the characters is holding like a Sony Handycam and goes into this room where there had been operations done.
Oh, right.
And she's going into this dark room and doesn't see anything, but when she looks down at the camera, she can see everything going on.
The most important thing to ask about movies like this is, did the walls bleed at any point during the movie?
They showed some close-ups of some weird shit coming out of the wall, but I don't know if it was blood.
Yeah, there's some kind of there's a movie I think with Christopher Lee, that the house that dripped blood, and the whole time the movie there's no bleeding from the house. It's kind of funny.
Speaking of house, you're a big Zomberry, you're a big horror movie fan where horror movies take place in a house, right?
I love haunted house type stuff.
Yeah.
You know, with
Paranormal, baby.
13 Ghosts, or the movie House.
Paranormal, baby.
Oh, House is good.
Full House.
Paranormal, baby.
A Fun House. There's some good Fun House movies.
Yeah.
Well, Fun House is done in a carnival.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was.
This got a whopping 31% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not bad for a horror movie.
Yeah.
I think all of mine averaged like at 10%. In my top 5.
Yeah, anything over 30%, you can expect a lot of anything ranked more than 30% on there.
All right. Well, that was Zomberry's number 4. We're gonna go to PWM's number 4 now.
Boone and Laurie, they were warned to stay away.
Ain't nothing but dead folk.
But didn't listen. Now, they're no longer lovers. For she's become the hunted, and he's become one of the night breed. From the creator of Hellraiser, Nightbreed, rated R.
At number 4, PWM's got 1990's The Nightbreed.
I was going to ask you guys who directed this, but that was already given up by the intro there. Now, this is another movie in my top 5 that I know none of you guys have in your top 5. 100% guarantee it. So like the intro said, Clive Barker. I'm a massive fan of Clive Barker. I love the Hellraiser films. I could have put probably Hellraiser 3 in my top 5. I even thought about it, and that is a 1990 release, or between 1990 and 2000 release. But I decided to leave it off. This movie, the protagonist in this movie's name is Craig Sheffer, and he's Aaron Boone in the movie. He's the main protagonist, and I always remember that guy from that movie, Some Kind of Wonderful. Speaking of John Hughes, that was a John Hughes written movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Had Eric Stoltz in it and the beautiful Leah Thompson.
Oh, love her.
Yeah, but anyway, so somehow in the movie that I watched, the Laserdisc, actually had a little small documentary with Clive Barker on it, and I guess he's friends with David Cronenberg. And he actually got David Cronenberg to be one of the main stars in this movie. And I never knew that David Cronenberg did films or was an actor in films. He's obviously this tremendous director of Videodrome, The Fly, all kinds of great movies and stuff, all kinds of body horror. But I didn't know he was an actor. So he plays Dr. Philip K. Decker in the movie, and he's the doctor of Aaron Boone's character, which is a mental patient. So he's basically a psychiatrist. And some of the movies that he's acted in, he actually acted in Videodrome. He acted in The Fly. He acted in Jason X and Dead Ringers.
Oh, right. He got killed at the beginning of Jason X. That's right.
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember The Fly. It was during the dream sequence. He was the doctor during the abortion sequence.
Okay. I don't remember it.
Yeah. Also in this movie is Doug Bradley, speaking of Hellraiser. So that's his ties to Clive Barker. He's one of the Nightbreed in the film. Mm-hmm. Again, I watched this movie on Laserdisc. Now, the protagonist, Aaron, whom's a mental patient, is convinced by Dr. Philip that he's a serial killer because there's all these serial killings going on at the time. And so he thinks he's a serial killer. He's going crazy. He's having dreams at the time of this place called Midian. And he actually finds this place, and it's a cemetery. And this is this place that it has this like tribe of monsters and outcasts. They take refuge there. So the thing that impressed me about this movie, man, this is like an epic fucking movie. Like I've never seen... There's so many different monster types in this movie. I was so impressed by it. And here I am watching it on Laserdisc. It wasn't like I was watching it on Blu-ray, but I consider this movie, you have your first tier of monsters, your Nightbreed monsters, which are very, they're in most of the scenes in the movie. And then later on, when they get deeper in the layers of Midian and the Nightbreeds, you get to like a second tier of monsters and you're like, holy fuck, these are bad. These are more badass than the first tier. And then later on, you get to a third tier and you're like, holy shit, these are even fucking badder than them. And then at the very fucking end of the movie, they have a tier of monsters that are locked behind cages. They're not even safe for the regular monsters to even be around. And they let them motherfuckers out. And them motherfuckers are so fucking badass looking. And like I'm so impressed with I don't know how much money they spent on this movie, but this is a true fucking monster flick. And it has every different kind of monster, and it's so impressive. And the other thing that I love about this movie so much is it's a monster film, but then also this movie is a fucking slasher film. Cronenberg's character is a fucking slasher killer who's obsessed with all these different knives, and he's going around fucking killing people. And he's got this I don't know if you guys have seen the movie The Collector, or the sequel to it, The Collection. He's got this fucking creepy like collector mask on with these big buttons as his eyes. And he looks fucking creepy as hell in this movie. And he's fucking just in the beginning of the movie, there's like a home invasion scene where he goes in and just fucking starts slicing people's throats and shit and killing this family, man. And Cronenberg is fucking scary in this movie. Very impressed with him in this. And yeah, man, this is a really cool film. And again, I never watched this film when it first came out. I just literally watched it like probably 4 years ago and got bored, I think, in the beginning. I didn't get bored because it starts off with that slasher part with where he does that home invasion. I love that part. And then for whatever reason, I stopped watching it after that. So I'm so glad that I went back, got the Laserdisc out, threw it in the Laserdisc player, spun that bitch, because I really enjoyed this film, man. I feel like Nightbreed is one of those Clive Barker films that goes a little bit unnoticed. And you'll get a little bit of this with another movie that I talk about. So I did some research after watching this film, and not happy to hear about this, but also pretty excited to hear about this. Barker expressed disappointment in the final cut of the movie. And that always has to do with movie studios, man. They fuck up movies and shit. A director's cut was made from the recovered reels of this movie and released by Scream Factory. So I am definitely going to get the Blu-ray of this, the Scream Factory Blu-ray release of this, and I can't wait to watch the movie that was more true to Clive Barker's vision. So definitely, I'm excited about that. That being said, it's in my fucking top 5. So even with the edits that happened in the movie.
Number 4. What says you, Tylord?
I haven't seen it, unfortunately, but he sold me on it, so I got to go watch it as soon as I can. I have seen that home invasion scene, like from highlight reels of Best of 90s, and it's really good. No, I haven't seen it though, but I got to. Isn't Tim Thomerson in it?
Tim Thomerson. I don't think he is.
Okay, I might be thinking of something else. Okay.
No, you might be thinking of another Clive Barker movie.
Okay, cool.
Are we gonna do in this podcast? Are we gonna do runner-up films?
Yeah, honorable mentions. Yep.
I'll talk about that film when it comes up. That.
Any thoughts on this one, Zomberry? Nightbreed?
I have not watched it. I thought I had it, but I went and checked and I don't have it. So this is one. I've got one now that I haven't seen, so I'll write that down and go revisit that. It's, bringing up Clive Barker. He also wrote the short story that inspired Candyman. So we're going full circle here.
That's cool. Yeah. I'm assuming we're going to go 0 for 3, Mario. You have not seen it?
I saw it, but you know how you brought up boring? I thought I kind of got bored with the movie. Maybe it was the beginning that dragged on. But okay. I never got into it. Maybe I got to give it a rewatch.
Well, like I said, I mean, it kind of, I didn't get into it the first time I watched it. So
you think it's like a slow burn movie, like in the beginning?
I don't know. Kind of like I said, man, that slasher part is fucking badass. That's kind of at the beginning. So like I said, the first tier of monsters, they're cool. But then one of them has a butt head, and you're like, it's kind of comical, But once they start showing some of the other monsters, you're like, whoa, this is fucking bad. They put a lot into this movie. I imagine they had a very high budget on it because it's insane.
Yeah, what I did like from that movie you brought up is the mask, the dude's mask with the buttons for eyes.
It's so cool.
I just think it looks cool, like a cool mask.
The only thing that I'll say bad about the movie is, besides the fact that Clive Barker hated some of the edits at the end, is the fact that David Cronenberg took that mask off like several times in the fucking movie. When I was like, why do you keep taking the mask off? We know it's you. Keep the mask on. It looks cool. So they kept doing reveals for some reason. I understand one reveal, but don't do multiple reveals.
And Cronenberg gets killed by Jason in Jason X. The beginning.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, I mentioned that he was in that one. Yeah, pretty cool.
All right. Well, that was your number 4. I'm gonna go to my number 4 pick, and one that kind of surprised me that it even made the list.
You're not scared, are you?
Someone has taken their love of fear one step too far.
We know you're not the killer.
Solving this mystery.
Everybody's a suspect!
Is going to be murder.
Who are you?
The question is, where am I? We all go a little mad sometimes.
Scream, the new thriller from Wes Craven, rated R.
So at my number 4 pick, I have 1996 Scream. And one that I had not watched since 96 probably, and I rewatched for this podcast, and I really liked it. I don't remember loving this one in the 90s, but now watching it now, I was like, man, this is a fun one. And they play a lot of homage to like Halloween, a lot of the old slasher movies. I think in one scene they're actually watching Halloween. And it's very, like Joe Bob mentioned, very meta. The movie talks a lot about like, oh, these are the rules of horror movies. Like, never say I'll be right back, because you won't come. You won't be right back, and don't have sex, and don't do drugs, or else you're dead. And yeah, I was surprised this even made my list. Like, I just watched it because I know it's regarded as probably like one of the best 90s horror movies, but I don't remember loving it in the 90s. And now rewatching it, I was like, this is a fun one. Like, I would watch this again.
I'll tell you, I fell in love with Nev Campbell after watching this.
Her second appearance on this show, because she was also in The Craft. Yeah, Nev Campbell.
You know, hey, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, because I was about to mention that too. Yeah, that was one of our early roles in The Craft. Yeah,
I'm gonna throw it to you, PWM, because I know you've said in the past you're not a Scream fan.
Yeah, unfortunately, no, I'm not. And I don't know if it's possibly because it makes fun of the genre. I think that's why it doesn't sit right with me. You know, I love Wes Craven and a lot of the films he's made. I just that one just did not hit home for me. You know,
but I'm watching it, and it does. It like walks a thin line where it is kind of like making fun of the tropes of the slashers, but also playing like tribute to them. Because they do talk about how awesome Halloween is, and I don't know. I think it walks that fine line.
What year did that come out?
1996.
Okay, I was going to say it seems like it came out earlier. It seemed like it ruined horror films for quite some time. It might have. I'm serious about that. Like, I'm not even joking. Yeah. Like, I think it really did kind of. There was a post 96. It was a down it just was not. Much good films.
Well, this one spawned like a lot of the urban legends and. I know what you did last summer and all those movies, but
oh my god, like that is even worse. Scream is better than I Know What You Did Last Summer. Let me just tell you that.
I would say rewatch it because I mean it does like kind of poke fun at slashers, but I think it shows a lot of love to them too at the same time.
I don't mind the beginning of it. The rest of it I could do without. I watched the whole franchise with my daughter last year.
Right.
And we actually enjoyed Scream 2 and 3 over 1, believe it or not. But the Dewey character, the fucking cop, I cannot stand that guy. I literally want to run away from the fucking anywhere I'm at when I see him on TV. I just cannot watch him. He's horrible.
Wasn't he in Ravenous or whatever?
You know what? He was, and I got to rewatch that to see. Didn't I just? Oh, I just sent that to you, by the way.
So
check that out.
You weren't a fan of him winning the WCW World Title?
I never watched that. I never got into it. Yeah.
What do you think about this one, Zomberry? Scream.
I mean, it became a classic pretty early on. There's still selling Scream masks at the Spirit Halloween stores. Yeah. It was such a good like whodunit movie.
Yeah,
keeping you guessing because throughout the movie you'd be like, okay, I think this is the killer. Nope, that one's not them. They just died. I think this is the killer. So it was fun to play along with them. Really enjoyed seeing Drew Barrymore die right away. That was pretty cool. It was very unexpected.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that, and I'm, of course, I'm a Matthew Lillard fan, so I really liked his character trying to explain all the rules, and you don't say "I'll be right back."
Yeah, I think the Jamie Kennedy character is kind of like supposed to be like us watching the movie as a fan because he's like that horror geek, like he knows all the rules of horror movies and everything.
Yeah, he's annoying too. Let's face it.
What do you think, Tylord? Because I think you're also not a Arquette fan.
I'm not a fan of this at all. It's been a long time. Maybe I should revisit it and I'll enjoy it more like you did.
I don't know.
I didn't. I saw it at the show and I saw all these stupid things at the show and I just didn't do it for me. I don't know if because like they're self-aware. I appreciate the humor back then. Maybe now since everything's been like that, maybe I can appreciate it more because like the first one that did the. Did Joe Boggs give this one a pass, or did he say this one was?
He said, unless you're this movie, like nothing else, like don't do the meta stuff.
It didn't really do anything for me. I should probably revisit this.
I thought I was dying on a hill alone when it comes to this movie, so I'm kind of glad someone else is there with me on the hill. To be honest with you,
I mean, it is cool how like Zomberry was saying how like you don't know who the killer is, like. Most like time Freddy and Jason and all them, you know who the killer is. This one is kind of like a mystery, so I'll give it that.
And then you get to see Rose McGowan too in a very short skirt.
Oh right, yeah. I think Courtney Cox in it.
Yeah.
Hey, before I forget, Mario, when you were announcing Zomberry number 4, I think his pick, I think it was the Haunted. What was the name of the movie?
House on Haunted Hill.
I thought it was the Buster Rhymes Halloween movie. The way you're describing it.
What's that? Which one's that one? Resurrection? Or which
I don't
one?
think that one's. I think that's 2000, but I was like, for whatever reason, it sounded like it.
Hey, I don't know. There might or might not be a Halloween movie on here that has guitar riffs.
There's an H2O in here. Yes, there is.
There might or might not be.
All right.
But I would recommend you guys giving it a rewatch because I think my expectations were low when I watched it. I only watched it out of like, okay, Scream. It's considered one of the best 90s ones. So I just watched it because of that. And I was like, damn, I really enjoy it. It's really
back then my expectations were high. Then everyone was hyping it up so much. Then I went and saw it and I was like, yeah, screw this thing. But now since my expectations are low, I might enjoy it.
Yeah,
and there's it's a new series too, right? They made a TV series.
Oh, is there?
I don't know. Is there?
Yeah, I think there's like a multi-episode series now.
Well, is Wes Craven still alive?
Is he dead?
I don't know. Maybe he passed.
I think he's dead, right? Because he did the Nightmare movies, right? Nightmare on Elm Street.
I think John Carpenter is still alive. Am I wrong?
Carpenter's alive.
Yeah, I think Wes Craven died.
Yeah, this movie, like you could tell Wes Craven was a big fan of Carpenter because there's like a lot of love also for Carpenter movies. They talk a lot about The Thing and I think Freddy in this movie.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
can see that. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my number 4. We're now gonna go to Tylord, number 3 pick.
All right.
Just what the hell did you do to those sharks?
We used gene therapies to increase their brain mass. As a side effect, the sharks got smarter.
She screwed with the sharks, and now the sharks, they're screwing with us.
What happens if she escapes? The oceans would be theirs.
Feeding time. Deep Blue Sea, rated R.
At number 3, Tylord's got Deep Blue Sea, 1999.
All right. And before I start, this is probably the highest budget movie I picked. It was $60 million to make this, so this is the highest budget movie I have on my list. And if Tremors wasn't the Jaws of the 90s and Anaconda wasn't, this definitely is. This Deep Blue Sea is like Jaws 5. I'm sorry. Like if this is like a Warner Brothers production, but I think if Universal had this movie, they would have just slapped Jaws on it and called it Jaws 5, and it would have been cool to have like the Jaws theme music within this. That's the only thing that would have made this better. But Rennie Harlan directed this. Cutthroat Island. He did Cutthroat Island and Cliffhanger. Nightmare on Elm Street 4. That's a decent Nightmare on Elm Street. Long Kiss Goodnight. So he was big high-profile director in the 90s, and this is a high-budget thriller action movie. But it is horror at its core. It's like a deep-sea disaster horror movie, and I really love it. I love all of the Jaws references in this. It's about a facility out in the ocean. I don't know if you guys have seen it. That they're doing research to cure Alzheimer's disease by researching sharks, and they're doing shady stuff like making the shark's brain bigger or whatever to extract more whatever they need to cure the degenerative brain diseases or whatever. But there's this facility out in the ocean with all these little shark pens with these giant sharks in there, and I love the special effects on this. The CGI is decent, and the animatronic sharks are like top of the line. Like you've never seen animatronic sharks this good, not even in Jaws. I'm not saying I like this anywhere near as any Jaws movie, but they're fantastic animatronic sharks and fantastic special effects like dismemberment and all this, and people getting their arms bit off and all that. So of course it all goes wrong. The sharks take over and and they cause they eat a helicopter, cause an explosion. The whole facility's flooded. These sharks are terrorizing the facility, and fun little characters in there. Thomas Jane from Punisher is the main guy. Samuel L. Jackson's like the guy that's funding the thing, and he dies off pretty early in the movie in a hilarious way. But and then LL Cool J's in here. I like his character. I thought he was just gonna die early on, but he ended up being like one of the heroes of the movie. He's a fun
black
character.
guy survived. Wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
It's because he's light skinned.
Yeah, no, maybe that's why. But Samuel L. Jackson got it bad.
Because he's dark skinned.
Yeah, they like dark meat in this one. This character is way better than his character in that stupid H2O movie,
which he also survived in.
Yeah, he survived in that too.
Don't be talking shit about H2O, bro. That might be my top 5.
Right. Anyway, but then the main lead woman's the female scientist, and she's really hot. She is like the actress's name is Saffron Burrows, and I've never really seen her in anything else. But she has that wonderful accent, that British accent. Like she seems really intelligent, really sexy. And you get to see her in her bra and panties briefly, like in a creative death scene. That's another thing I was gonna say. Just like Tremors, there's all kinds of creative ways they kill the sharks, just like Jaws. It's and it actually follows the Jaws movies. The Jaws 1, the shark blows up. The first shark that gets killed, LL Cool J blows it up. The second shark that gets killed gets electrocuted by the grill, just like Jaws 2. The third shark gets blown up, just like Jaws 3. So it kind of pays homage to Jaws. Also, the license plate that Thomas Jane pulls out of the shark's mouth, the tiger shark, it's the same license plate as the one from Jaws, Louisiana plate. There's all kinds of fantastic Jaws references, and it's a fun. It kind of reminds me of like Resident Evil in the ocean. Like there's all these corridors and you're trapped in there. All the sharks are coming at you like zombies. What else? Yeah, the set's great. That like it was very sci-fi looking, like a deep sea facility, kind of like The Abyss or those type of movies. All kinds of good flooding scenes, like good flooding effects. Sharks are awesome. It's got a cool cast of characters and good dismemberment effects and all that. Really good stuff. So I have 1999, towards the end of the 90s. Deep Blue Sea is my number 3.
I'm seeing a trend here. So Anaconda, a giant anaconda, a Tremors, giant monster under the ground, and then a shark movie.
Love those creature features.
I couldn't get a Jaws, but I got like the 3 closest things to Jaws.
So your number 4 had Ice Cube. This one has LL Cool J. Was Eazy-E in your number 2?
Let me see. Oh, there weren't any. There wasn't a rapper, but there was a country singer. And
right.
You talking about that AIDS horror movie, Zomberry?
What? All right, Zomberry, what do you think about this one, Deep Blue Sea?
It was a fun one. I've seen it a couple of times over the years. Samuel L. Jackson turned down the movie at first. He was offered LL Cool J's role. Didn't want to do it. They cast LL Cool J in it. And then they wrote a part specifically for Samuel L. Jackson. And after he read how he dies, like that's when he wanted to do the film. And it's definitely the most famous part of the entire movie.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing I remember seeing of this movie is where he's like talking shit and then like a shark comes out and eats him or something. That's all I remember.
I think Samuel L. Jackson. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was like giving an inspirational speech, like we're gonna get through this, we're gonna stick together or whatever. And then after his inspirational speech, the shark jumps out and eats him.
I think Samuel L. Jackson is like the black Kevin Bacon. He's like in every fucking movie.
Yeah,
I've never seen him turn down any roles. Or maybe even Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis has kind of turned into that guy.
or Nick Cage.
Nick Cage is even more. Yeah, Nick Cage is definitely the guy.
Yeah.
You a fan of this one? PWM?
I'm gonna. I was saying Macchio earlier. I'm gonna say something that's more relevant. I'm gonna pull a Mario again here, but since I'm a white guy, I'm gonna say I'm Wario, and I have not seen this film.
Really?
Yeah, I've not seen it. From afar, I just always thought it was a CGI mess, but now my boy's telling me it's fucking got animatronics in it that are up there with Jaws, which I'm kind of shocked. I mean, Jaws 4 has the best animatronics of all time. Yeah. Fucking the shark could walk around in Amityville and have coffee. Okay, so don't be trying to tell me that fucking Deep Blue Sea has better animatronics than fucking Jaws 4. Get out of here with that shit. I'm calling you on that one, Tyler.
Yeah, you're right.
But I mean, hey, listen, I'm sold on it after listening to you. I need to check it out. I've been wanting to watch it for a while. I saw it at Walmart. It has like a Deep Blue Sea 1, 2, and 3, I think.
Yeah, and I haven't seen any of the sequels.
I need to check it out. It's definitely a movie I need to check out.
I think they should hire Tylord to be like a hype man for like these creature features or.
Yep.
He's like Flavor Flav of the fucking bad shark movies.
Yeah, boy.
He's gonna wear a chain around his neck with a fucking a bent up license plate from Michigan.
From Louisiana, he said.
Instead of a clock.
All right. Well, that was Tylord number 3. We're gonna go to Zomberry's number 3 now.
We experience the world through our 5 senses. On August 6th, he will sense more.
I see dead people.
The Sixth Sense, rated PG-13.
Zomberry at number 3's got The Sixth Sense, 1999.
Yeah, this is kind of my softball pick here. Just like Tylord's big budget movie, this is my big budget movie at $40 million. And it's definitely the highest rated movie on my list at 86%. It probably ranks as one of the best twist endings of any movie ever. It's kind of what put M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong on the map as far as movies go. And then every movie he made after this, he tried to do the same thing, and it just became ridiculous. It's really hard for me to go into and explain this movie. Everybody's seen it. Bruce Willis, Haley Joel Osment. What I really liked about this movie, except for the twist, because it got me, I was like 20 years old when this came out, and we hadn't seen that kind of thing before. So, but what I really enjoyed in this was the subtle scares. I'm not too big on in-your-face jump scares. I think it's overplayed in most horror films. But, the scene where he's sitting in the car trying to tell his mom what's going on, and it's really like all this tension built up. And then you just see this guy walking by that had just been in a car wreck, and he's standing at the window, and it's like, holy shit, like, just glimpses of dead people walking around. That kind of thing was really good. And the scene where he's in his little tent in his room looking down the hallway and he can see shit outside, so he's trying to hide inside of his little fort, and then it shows up in the fort with him. Scared the fuck out of me.
He pukes.
Yeah. Bruce Willis, he was given this part kind of like on a deal because he had made a shitty movie the year before, I think, so he was given this one, and he ended up taking No. Something Brawler. Something Brawler. I don't remember. But he ended up taking a pay cut up front on this movie. He usually got like 20 million up front. He took 14, which was less than some of the other people in the movie. But he got a percentage of the box office. And of course, this movie did huge, and he ended up making over $100 million from this and becoming one of the most highly paid actors because of this movie. That's my number 3. Everybody's seen it.
I usually, just don't. I don't watch movies usually because I just never get around to them. But this one I didn't see purposely because I had a fucking asshole friend spoil it for me. I was gonna see it, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, this is the spoiler," and I was like, "Fucking bitch!" So I never saw it.
Terrible.
Yeah, so I never saw it. What about you, PWM? Any thoughts on The Sixth Sense?
Yeah, man, it's a good film. Kind of what you just said, Mario. It's one of those films. M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong gets a lot of hate for his films and stuff. I don't really know why. I enjoy a lot of it.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes
and this one
may be
right
shit.
here, I guess because of that huge twist, maybe people hate on it because there's no rewatchability, I'm thinking. Which makes sense to me. It does make sense to me, but it's very well acted and very well done. The production behind the movie, everything is top notch. I mean, I thought it was a really cool film, but he never get I don't know what it is with his whole career. There's always something about his movies that fucking people hate on. It's so crazy. But yeah, this is at the time when it came out, it blew people's minds. I think it's gotten less popular over time, but when it came out, yeah, it was shockingly awesome, I thought.
You make a really good point with the rewatchability of it, and I kind of feel the same way after watching another movie similar to that, The Book of Eli. If you've watched that before,
with Denzel, I believe I watched it once. Yeah.
So it had. Have you seen that, Mario? I don't.
I've seen it. Yeah.
So at the end, you find out, oh, he was blind the whole time in the movie.
Yeah.
And then you're realizing oh shit, all those scenes, he really was blind, and you can't go back and watch that without without knowing that again. It kind of spoils the rewatchability.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough. My favorite scene in the Sixth Sense was when the mental patient showed up in their house.
Mm.
That whole sequence where he's in their bathroom.
Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Well,
yeah, because
he's Mark Wahlberg's brother.
What's that?
Was it Donnie?
Yeah, I think it was him.
That fucking mental patient was Donnie?
I think
so. No, it wasn't. No.
Oh, I might be thinking of something else. I know he was in the.
No, I just found that to be a real creepy scene where he just showed up. What's his name's a psychiatrist in the movie, right? Bruce Willis's character.
Yeah, he's a child psychologist.
Yeah, and that's his patient, and he comes in there, and or is it his wife's patient? I can't remember, but he actually breaks into their house and stuff, and that's a really creepy scene, man. That one gave me the creeps.
Yeah, because they show that scene a couple of times, because at the end he's remembering that whole scene again and realizing that's when he died, protecting his wife, and that's when he was killed.
Yeah, good film.
You got any thoughts on this one, Tylord?
No, I like it. It's not. I think, like you guys were saying, it's not really rewatchable. So I've only seen it once. It's been a long time ago. I enjoyed it. Really a top of the line movie to go watch at the theater. I remember my sister was so disturbed by it, she had to leave. She doesn't like the idea of dead people talking to you or whatever. She really got scared and had to leave.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was Zomberry's number 3, and we're gonna go to PWM's number 3.
You are listening to the sound of pure evil. A priest possessed by Satan.
Let me go!
17 years ago, he was the savior of an innocent girl. Now, that priest is Satan's deadliest weapon.
He is inside with us!
William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist 3, rated R, under 17.
And number 3, PWM's got Exorcist 3, 1990.
Yeah, man. So, I don't know if you guys know, William Peter Blatty wrote the screenplay, and he wrote the screenplay to the first Exorcist. And then our boy, what's our boy's name that directed the first one? I love the director. I can't think of his name right now. Yeah, Friedkin, man, who is a legend, directed that film. And I've never seen Exorcist 2. I've never watched it, but I've heard horrible things about it.
Yeah.
It's got Linda Blair and it's called The Heretic. Has anybody watched that one?
No, I kind of want to watch it because just because it's an Exorcist. It's got Linda Blair and James Earl Jones, but I just hear it's horrible.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, you hear such bad things about it. My second favorite horror film of all time is The Exorcist, behind Texas Chainsaw Massacre 74. So for me not to watch 2 is it's very fucking odd. But anyway, 2 had nothing to do with William Peter Blatty. And William Peter Blatty actually wrote the screenplay and directed The Exorcist 3. So, and it was based upon a book that he wrote in the 80s called Legion. And so the standout performances in this movie was George C. Scott, which I adore him as an actor. He's been in so much great shit. I know you guys know who that is. Yeah. And he kills it in this role. He's such a good actor in this movie. Right. And someone that I'm telling you right now, I am such a big fan of Brad Dourif.
Yeah, he's good in that.
So I don't know if you guys know, that's the guy who was Chucky. He's Child's Play in the first movie. He's the main killer whose soul went into the Chucky doll. And he's been in a ton of fucking shit. And Tylord, man, Death Machine.
Oh yeah.
Brad Dourif is the fucking ingenious fucking creator of the fucking dinosaur robot and he is incredible in Death Machine. Brad, I am such a fan of Brad Dourif's right now, man. I want to see everything this guy has fucking done. I'm so excited about his filmography. So this movie is based upon, you guys are going to see why I love this. This movie is based upon the Gemini Killer, which Blatty based aspects of the Gemini Killer on the real life Zodiac Killer, which I'm such a big fan of the Zodiac movie, right? With what's the director's name of that shit? David Finch, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so who by the way, the Zodiac Killer was a fan of the original Exorcist, the real life Zodiac Killer.
Wow.
In a letter that from the real life Zodiac Killer sent to the police, the very last letter, he directly referenced the Exorcist film, calling it the best satirical comedy he has ever seen. So that's the tie-in with the real life fucking Zodiac Killer scumbag with William Peter Blatty, which is really crazy, right? So this film had some really fucking odd cameos. Fabio is an angel in this movie in a dream sequence. And Patrick Ewing of the New York Knicks. Don't be doing that fucking... Patrick Ewing, of all people, is a fucking angel in the dream sequence as well. And you know who else mentioned earlier? Samuel L. Jackson is in this movie as well, in I think a dream sequence. So Morgan Creek, which was the production company, I found this out later after I watched the fucking movie for 1,000 times, just the other day before I gave you these picks. Blatty made it, or Blatty had commented that they completely changed and they had to reshoot the ending of the film due to Morgan's Creek. Now there was an actual, so what Morgan Creek made him do was another exorcist at the end of this film. Well, you might say it's called The Exorcist. Why are you not going to have an exorcist, right? Well, the actual book, Legion, had no fucking exorcisms in it. So that's some bullshit the movie production company came up with. They were just supposed to kill and shoot the person in the movie to end the movie. So I just found out there's a Scream Factory director's cut that was recently released on Blu-ray that is more in line with Peter Blatty's vision. So I'm so excited to pick that up. But man,
so the guy he wasn't possessed by a demon.
He was, but there was not an exorcist. They killed him off with a gun or something like that. They shot him or whatever.
Okay,
but
I thought that was a cool thing though.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad. I mean, again, this is in my top 5, but I'm just hearing from William Blatty, on Wikipedia saying that fucking I hated this shit. They made me do that shit. It's not part of the fucking book, and I get all that shit, man. These people, I mean, listen, William Peter Blatty wrote the original fucking book to The Exorcist. Like he's just like the guy who wrote Jaws. He's so tied into this fucking franchise. It's no joke. But yeah, man, this movie right here is so fucking creepy, and not to go on for too long, but like this is one of those movies where them explaining what happens with this Gemini killer is so much better than you seeing what happens. Like them describing the kills, because he decapitates his victims and he does all kinds of like weird shit to people. Like this one guy, he cuts his head off and he's working for the master, who's the devil. So he's got like, you almost think that he's a doctor or something, but he's got these special abilities. He basically sticks a catheter up the body and takes every fucking ounce of blood out of the victim and puts them in these little containers in the hospital room, lined up right next to each other. And there's not a drop of blood anywhere. No fingerprint smears, no nothing. It's like an expertly done kill of taking all the blood out of a body. And there's like this scene where he cuts a black kid's head off and he like somehow sews like a statue of Jesus Christ head on the black kid and like paints the black face, the Jesus face black with white fucking lips. And like the way they describe it, like you finally see it in the end in the possession scene. I don't know if you remember that part, Tyler. You finally see that black kid coming up with Jesus statue head on him. But in the beginning, you don't see none of it. They just describe it. Like even the scene where he takes all the blood out of the guy, it's just George C. Scott lifting a sheet and looking underneath it. It's kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You don't know what's going on beyond that door. It's fucking like really cool, man. Like the descriptive nature of this film, and some of the lines in this movie are really like top notch and like spooky and stuff. And like I said, man, my boy Brad Dourif is in the movie, and he plays the devil, or the guy who works for the devil. The master has decided that it's a little bit complex, the story. The guy who died in the first film that fell down the stairs, Dourif's character possessed, I guess, his body and ended up digging out of the grave and becoming the Gemini killer. But man, there's one of the scariest scenes in the history of fucking horror films. There's like these scissors that I guess like embalmers, I don't know, like medical examiners use. I don't know if they cut heads off with it or what, but there are these massive shears and they're stainless steel and they're spring fucking loaded. And like there's this nurse that's walking through the hospital in this hallway, and they draw back and they have the camera at the end of the hallway, and they're showing this scene for like 5 fucking minutes, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? She's going back and forth. She's checking doors. She's going in. She's hearing creepy noises. And all of a sudden, she fucking walks out of a door and walks straight forward. And all of a sudden, this lady from behind comes with these shears after her. It's one of the creepiest scenes in any fucking movie I've ever seen. And then you got great sequences with old ladies that are like in and out of being catatonic, that are talking to George C. Scott and telling him, "Are you the radio repairman?" And he's like trying to get close to them because they know what's going on inside this hospital. And he's trying to find out who's killing who and stuff. And he's talking to him, and he's like, "Yes, I am the radio repairman." And she's like, "Well, what am I holding in my hand?" And he's like, "You're holding the radio I'm going to repair." And then she's like, "That's a telephone. I knew you weren't the radio repairman." There's like really cool scenes. That lady right there ends up like crawling on the ceiling and stuff. Like she's the killer and stuff. Like they're walking through the hospital and she's like creeping on the fucking ceiling like she's Spider-Man. Dude, this movie's got some creepy fucking scenes in it. Big fan of this film. Definitely want to pick up this director's cut to see if it's better or not. That's it.
Damn. I have that Blu-ray, I think. And I only picked it up because you told me that I should rewatch it, because I told you I saw this when I was in the movie theater, 1990. I was 8. So I don't remember liking it. I thought it was...
Wow, you're too young to be watching
that
movie.
I thought it was boring, but I was 8. Back then I also ate boogers, and I thought He-Man had good writing. So yeah, I need to rewatch it. I think I have that Blu-ray you're talking about. But
so you haven't watched it since you were 8?
No, my parents took me to the theater, and I was like, this shit's boring.
That's a weird movie for them to take you to the theater. That's like that's a hardcore. That's another thing that I was going to say. This is an extremely dark fucking movie. Like, it's dark as fuck. Like, it's not for the timid. Like, this is a evil fucking film.
Yeah, I'm gonna rewatch it though.
That's crazy.
What about you, Tylord? Any thoughts on this one?
I liked it. I always thought it was terrifying and disturbing. It's been a long time since I've seen it, maybe 20 years, but I remember that Red Dwarf character, or he put on a good performance. George C. Scott, and yeah, I got to rewatch it again. But I remember it was really disturbing, like one of those movies that gives you nightmares.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Zomberry?
Man, P-Mac down there going with the deep cuts, because this is another one. Out of his 3 movies, there's 2 now that I haven't seen. The only Exorcist sequel that I've seen is Exorcist: The Beginning, which I thought was pretty good.
Oh, that was like 4 or something like that. One of the
was that sequel. The early 2000s?
Yeah, prequel.
Yeah, it's early 2000 prequel to the original.
I know some of them got the CGI just destroyed the films. I remember that, but yeah, I only remember 1 and 3.
Yeah, I bought this one because you said I needed to rewatch it, so.
And you still haven't rewatched it,
no,
as always.
Well, I'm trying to watch, all these movies you guys send me, like Hakeler's Tale and The World of Music and what else?
Yeah, but some of them we send you as a joke. You need to ask us which ones. If you want to watch good movies, let's make a good list for you to watch.
Hey, Tylord sent me some good ones because I saw that The French Connection. That was good. Oh, nice. I like that one. Yeah. All right.
Tylord's not going to send you any shit movies because he likes every single one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. We're gonna go to my number 3 pick now.
Through the ages, a myth is told of an evil creature that feeds on the souls of children.
No, not my baby!
And the only way to destroy him
Kill the little monster!
is to call out his name.
You know my name.
But what was once a fairy tale has now come true. Transformed by an ancient spell, he has come from the past.
The hell are you?
To bring his curse upon the present. And now he must steal a newborn child.
Where's the baby?
That his evil may live forever. Rumpelstiltskin.
This ain't no fairy tale.
So my number 3, definitely not a mainstream pick. Tylord looks super confused by this pick.
It's definitely the longest trailer of all of them.
That's because I couldn't find a theatrical trailer because this movie never went to the theaters. I think this was like a VHS promo or something.
but like 90% of these uses the same voiceover guy.
Yeah. Yeah, but I got a number 3, it looks like it's 1995, Rumpelstiltskin. Man, I fucking love this movie. It's, we all know the old tale of Rumpelstiltskin. I love this one. for all the wrong reasons. It's a really cheesy, bad horror movie, but I fucking love it. It's pretty much the Rumpelstiltskin character is trying to look for the baby Johnny. He's trying to look for the firstborn of this lady, and he's pretty much like a Dollar Tree Freddy Krueger. Like, he tries to come up with all these little snazzy, like little snarky remarks, but they're really bad and not funny at all. And he uses, like, he's Rumpelstiltskin, right? So he's like an old timey character. So he uses a lot of words like thy and like words like that with his one-liners. Like, there's a part where he like drives a Mack truck off a cliff. Like, he gets tricked by one of the protagonists, and he's like, "Oh, fucketh me." He drives off the cliff. and he takes like a fucking motorcycle from like this thug, and he's like, "Thy steed is made of metal." Like, he's like speaks like an old timey. It's like really bad. I think this is like straight to VHS. But I fucking love this movie. I popped this. This is the one that eliminated like Tremors and the Candyman off my top 5, just because like watching this movie, I'm just like laughing the whole time. Like, I'm just enjoying myself watching this movie, and it's actually
this one of those that's so bad it's good?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's actually very expensive too. Like, if you try to buy the DVD, it's like $80 or something.
Wow.
And I made the stupid mistake back like 10 years ago, once Blu-ray was like coming around, like, oh, I need to get rid of all my DVDs and just buy Blu-rays. So I go to Amoeba Records and sell like 200 DVDs. They give me like $30. One of the movies in here was Rumpelstiltskin. And I remember like I wake up in cold sweats after that, like I can't believe I sold Rumpelstiltskin, and my wife wound up buying it for me like off eBay like eventually, and I'm like, all right, I'm whole again. I got Rumpelstiltskin in my collection again. But it doesn't seem like any of you guys have watched this movie.
No.
Nope. I remember the ads on the VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
What's the lore behind it?
So a girl is stuck. She wants to.
Is that the one with the hair?
It's kind of, you know what? It's kind of like a witch movie. It is kind of like a witch movie because
he grants wishes.
Yeah,
he's spinning silk or something. And she wants to spin gold with the silk or something, right? And then the little guy grants her wish like a genie, and he says, "I'll make this gold for you." I'm talking like Hervé Villachet. I watched this fairy tale theater. Do you remember that back in the 80s or 90s? There was one of Rumpelstiltskin, and it was that little midget guy from Fantasy Island and the Man with the Golden Gun. He played Rumpelstiltskin, and he was telling me, I will grant you the wish if you give to me your firstborn son."
Yeah, that's the movie. It pretty much takes place in Los Angeles, 1990s Los Angeles. And this lady's husband, who is an LAPD officer, dies in a shooting. And she goes to this antique shop, like a witch's antique shop. And she finds the stone of Rumpelstiltskin. He's like a little figurine. And the witch is like trying to warn her, like, "Oh, you don't want to take this. Like, it grants wishes, but it's dangerous." So she takes it and wishes for her husband to come back to life. And he comes back, but also Rumpelstiltskin shows up and is trying to get her baby, the baby Johnny. And he's like chasing her around. "Come to Uncle Rumple." Like, baby Johnny. It's like really bad. And I guess in the tale too, his like kryptonite is straw. So like, she's like stabbing him with knives, like his arm gets ripped off and he like regenerates like nothing. But then she starts beating him with a broom, and he's like dying, like, oh shit.
Yeah, there was something to do with straw. I was thinking it was silk. It was something like they were trying to weave baskets out of straw or something.
Yeah,
they weave straw into gold thread.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, man, I love this movie. I could watch this like every night, 365 days a year, and be happy.
Sounds kind of confusing.
It doesn't make sense at all. And
it's like, what the fuck? Straw into gold. Okay.
He gets in a Mack truck. He gets on like a motorcycle, and he sees a sign. He sees a sign to Bakersfield. It's like just dumb. Like he sees a sign to Bakersfield, and he's like, Bakersfield, a land of bread, and he starts cracking up. And it's just like terrible, but I love it.
Sounds like Leprechaun.
It's like a lower budget Leprechaun.
Who plays him? Who plays Rumpelstiltskin?
I don't know, but the funny thing is they try to make him look like he's short. So the guy is always walking like with his knees bent to like give the illusion that he's short, I guess, because they couldn't hire maybe like a short person to play him. So it's just like a guy crouched over, walking like crouched over.
Who directed this piece of shit?
Blatty? What was that, Blatty guy? No, I don't know.
Did Steven Spielberg have something to do with this film? John Hughes?
There's a debate that it was Toby Hooper or Spielberg. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Toby Hooper.
Sounds pretty badass. I mean, from what you said about it, I mean, I've heard people talk about it. It's like an out of print fucking movie and shit. It's hard to get. I don't know if there's a Blu-ray release of it yet or what's going on.
Yeah, and then randomly, like, there's a part where he's riding the motorcycle and this like song starts playing in the background, and he's wearing shades and everything, and
I'm hearing like some interference, like.
Yeah, I think that's one of you guys.
I've been hearing that for a while.
Mute your mic, Steve.
I don't have anything on.
Is somebody playing some audio?
Yeah, but if Tylord's the hype man for like those creature features, man, if you don't watch any other movie like from my suggestions, watch Rumpelstiltskin. If
Is
you
it
can
better
find
than that dumb boar movie you told us about?
Oh, that was good. You didn't like that?
It's not as good as. Hold on,
I just wanted to see what level it's at.
The Australian Razorback.
I wanted to see what level this is at.
Not as good as Razorback. It's a lot worse.
Oh, it's not as good. Okay.
It's more like a Troll 2 type of movie.
Oh God!
It's in that same category. Like you watch it.
I might like it then.
Yeah,
I might like it.
It's very stupid. It's very stupid.
Hey, I'll just go ahead and spoil my top 5. Like, I thought about putting Troll 2 on my top 5.
Me too.
I'm not even fucking lying. Like,
Me too.
That movie, I love that fucking movie. I really love it.
Yeah.
This, I think, Rumpelstiltskin took the place of Troll 2 for me.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right on.
Right. Well, that was my number 3 pick. So we're gonna go up now. We're getting down to the bottom. We're gonna go to Tylord's number 2 pick.
Okay.
Ash took a weekend trip through time.
To the pit with him!
He was trapped.
Hey! Look out!
Slapped.
Oh, that's gotta hurt!
And kidnapped. But they couldn't make him join
How do you stop it?
the Army of Darkness. From the director of Darkman comes Army of Darkness.
Tylord at number 2's got 1992's Army of Darkness.
Wow.
I know Jeff or PWM doesn't care for this as a horror movie, but I like this movie so much I had to put it on the list. It's super light on the horror and mostly action slapstick. It is in a horror setting though, and there's a lot of cool undead creatures, a lot of cool puppetry. And it's the budget's kind of modest too, $11 million. I thought it looked really good. I think they put that $11 million to work good, to good use on film, because this kind of feels like a Lord of the Rings type movie. Like it's really epic, like epic medieval battles and stuff. It's a really fun movie, and cool, scary sets like the cemetery and the pit. Yeah, pardon me. Probably my other than the first two, is probably my favorite Sam Raimi movie. And of course, the protagonist Ash, I freaking love him. Like he turns into a bigger douchebag as the movies progress, and by this time, like he's a total a-hole. But he's so freaking cool. like he's and he's like and he's a cripple pretty much. Like he's missing a hand through this whole movie, but it doesn't let it slow him down or anything. Yeah, cool. I like how there's stop go animation, like the skeletons have like the Ray Harryhausen style. I don't think there's any CGI in this. I might be wrong, but it's 92, so I don't think that came around yet. But I like the stop go animation with the skeletons. I like the puppets, and they have a big army of zombies and skeletons, and the way they place the cameras and everything, it looks cool. Like the skeletons, usually just see them up close to the camera from the waist up, and then the stuff in the background are like either guys in costumes or puppets, or their feet are being blocked so you can't see the puppetry going on. But I think like they pull off this big army of zombies really well in this really fun slapstick. Like Bruce Campbell does all the sword fighting and a bunch of cool stunt work in this. He's like a pretty I don't know if I'd say underrated because he's really admired, but he's like a cool lead character, like action character type guy.
Is this the first time he says that? Because he says, "This is my boomstick." Right?
Yeah,
is
that's
the first time he says it.
Yeah, that's the first time he says it. Yeah, he gets the robot hand, like they make him a hand. And then the evil. Oh, also plays the bad guy too. When I was a kid, I didn't realize that the guy that came up from the dead was him. It was the evil version of him that he buried before, and he plays that part like you would never know that's him. He has like an accent or something, and he really hams it up. The bad guy in this.
Evil Ash.
Yeah, Evil Ash. Yeah.
You don't like this?
The girl. You don't like it?
So I'm saying that PWM doesn't like this one.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm sorry. I got ice cubes and vodka in my mouth. I don't hate the film. I'm such a big fan of the first and the second one that it just kind of bothered me the turn that it took. I mean, the first one is like totally serious, although some diehard people might say it's still got some comical, satirical stuff to it. But I never saw that. I just thought it was a straight up fucking horror film.
Yeah, me too.
The trees raping women and stuff. It was just fucking dark as fuck. It just that movie stuck with me. I watched that when I was real young. And then Evil Dead 2, and I don't know if I got this wrong. Like maybe I do have this wrong. I feel like that's not really a sequel to it. It's almost like a reboot. It's like a reboot of it.
Yeah.
And that one like does all the fucking right things. I usually hate it when you bring too much comedy into my fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that one just does the perfect Return of the Living Dead type of a splice of comedy and horror, and just works so fucking well. And like you mentioned, the camera angles and the camera movement are legendary, iconic. It's been, done by so many directors since then. It was It was totally original when he first did it. I don't know. Like the end of Evil Dead 2, you saw what was going to happen. You're like, okay, well, we're going to end it here, I guess, And then they made another film, and I wanted Army of Darkness to be a little bit scarier, and it just was not scary at all.
The skeletons are telling jokes, and they're like it's pretty much like Looney Tunes or the Three Stooges, but I love it.
Well, yeah, it's cool. It's cool, but it's like Friday. It's like Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th 2, and then Friday the 13th 3 tries to be Troll 2 or some shit, or you know what I mean? Like it just
right.
It's like, come on, man. Like I mean, I'm enjoying your fucking franchise so much. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
And they did for me anyway.
What do you think of this one, Zomberry?
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
No, I really
it's my number one.
And I think I liked the first Evil Dead too, and the second one. But I think they kind of had to go more comedy because it's hard to be realistic when your main character has a chainsaw for a hand. and you're thrown back into, medieval Europe. I thought it was really good, and the animatronics, or not the animatronics, the stop motion scenes. It did use some CGI in it, like especially when he's fighting all the little tiny evil ashes.
Oh right, yeah.
You know, and
you know what? By the way, have you guys seen the new Evil Dead? Or it's not new now, but it's been out for a few years, or 5-6 years, or whatever. But the new one.
I watched the first few episodes.
No, not the TV series. The actual movie.
The reboot.
No.
The reboot.
I haven't seen it.
Tylord, have you seen it?
No, I hear it's really scary though.
Okay, so like the first time watching it, I really felt like I liked it, and so I went back to watch it, and I kind of got disinterested in it, and I turned it off like halfway during the film. It's got a lot of CGI in it, which bothered me. But man, I'm going to tell you the premise in that. Maybe I'm going to give it a second watch or a third watch here. The premise in that movie is even cooler than the original Evil Dead. It's a brother. His sister is a major fucking dope fiend, drug addict. So him and her friends take them out to this cabin in the middle of the fucking woods to get her off of heroin.
Oh, okay.
And the setup is really nice. So she's the first one that starts seeing the Evil Dead shit, the fucking trees trying to fucking rape her and all the craziness, right?
Yeah.
So they're telling her in the beginning, no matter what you say to us, we love you so much. We're not going to let you leave this place. We do not give a fuck. And she starts having these demonic shit happen to her. And she's telling them, you do not fucking understand. Fucking tree branches are trying to fucking rape me. There's demons in the fucking woods. And they're like, we've heard it all before. We're here for you. We're not leaving your side. And you're not going fucking anywhere. That setup is fucking ingenious. But I don't know, man. The CGI, it kind of bothers me in that film. And even though the witch in the basement of Evil Dead 2 is not like, something that 2022 caliber, but it's kind of funny when you watch it now, but it's still kind of fucking creepy to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this series definitely spawned, so far out of all the movies we've picked, the best video games.
Yeah.
I've never played them, and I actually own those video games. I own Evil Dead on the
Fistful
Xbox.
of Boomstick is really
good.
Good.
I got that one.
Yeah. And Regeneration, those are all good.
Yeah, I got that one too, and I've heard good things about them.
Even it's really freaking hard, but the PlayStation one, it like the setting and all that's like right out of Evil Dead 2. It looks really cool.
However, Gremlins 2 is also a decent game.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I have the new Evil Dead, but I haven't played it. The one for the
me too. Yeah, Mario got that for me.
I tell you what, if you guys ever get a chance, there's a traveling group that does Evil Dead the musical.
Oh yeah, you told us about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. And it's hilarious.
Right on.
And it's fun. They have a splatter zone, so they shoot blood out at the audience.
Like Gallagher when he would hit the watermelon.
Yeah. I've heard that from multiple people now, and on one of the movies that I watched, they have bonus features, and they go out and they follow those guys, the ones that do that display, and it's actually a pretty good documentary. And man, people love that shit. I would love to see that.
I'm not a fan of Evil Dead 1 or 2.
I know you said this before.
I really like Army of Darkness. I really like this one. It's fun.
It's so weird.
I love this one. It's fun.
Well, we discussed this before. You watched Army of Darkness before you watched Evil 1 and 2.
No, I watched the other one.
What?
I watched the other ones and I didn't care for them, and then I saw Army of Darkness, and I was like, man, this is awesome. But I gotta give the 1 and 2 a chance, a rewatch.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty letdown for me, for sure. It's like, what the fuck?
That's what I'm here for. All right, we're gonna go to Zomberry's number 2 pick now.
A haunted ship.
I'm getting some really strange readings in here.
A missing crew.
This place is a tomb.
DJ, where are you?
And infinite evil.
This ship has been beyond the boundaries of our universe. Who knows what it's brought back with it?
Vacate! I want off this ship.
You can't leave. She won't let you.
Event Horizon.
And number 2, Zomberry's got Event Horizon, 1999. Tell us about this.
I have it as 1997. But
oh, did I get it wrong? 1997 then.
I don't know, or I wrote it down wrong.
No, I think it is 97. You're right.
Okay. Just like in some of my other favorite horror lists where I have Aliens or The Thing, I like to throw a science fiction one in there. I like space horror, and this is probably one of the best at doing that. This one stars Sam Neill from Jurassic Park fame and Lawrence Fishburne, and they're part of a search and rescue spaceship crew that's going out to investigate a signal from a lost ship, the Event Horizon ship. When they get out there to the distress call around Neptune or something, nobody on the ship is alive, and they're supposed to bring back the drive or the warp core from this ship. It was the engine was built by Sam Neill's character and was supposed to be like our first kind of warp drive type of thing where we could bend space and travel, not really faster than light, but kind of like in 2 spots at the same time to travel. And what it had done is it propelled this ship into some other kind of dimension that they later describe as actually going to hell for 7 years. And the crew goes insane and murders each other, and the ship comes back. And so they investigate, and they start going a little crazy, start seeing things. Some really like graphic kills, some graphic scenes. Sam Neill's character gets really crazy at the end. He starts to want to keep the ship alive. It's his baby, and ends up looking kind of like that scene in Hellraiser where he's like being torn up by all the hooks, and his face is all jacked up. That's kind of how he looks towards the end of this. But this was done by Paul Anderson, who
Resident Evil
was he's Mila Jovovich's husband who did the Resident Evil stuff and the original Mortal Kombat. It's done really well. Lawrence Fishburne, really good character in it. A really funny story from this one. Back in, I think it was a year out of high school, I was at a house party at a friend of mine's, and there was a group of kids. They're dropping acid, and my friend, being one of them, he kind of disappeared from the party for a while. We had no idea where he went. Later on, we found he was sitting in the living room in the dark. And we're like, well, what are you doing in here? He's like, I'm watching Event Horizon. And the movie had been over for like 30 minutes, but he's just sitting in the dark, like, I guess still like involved in the movie. It was pretty wild. Not the kind of movie you want to see while you're tripping.
Have you seen this one, Tylord?
Yeah, I saw this. I don't know if I saw it at the show, but I saw it right when it came out on VHS, and I rented it, and I enjoyed it. I like those deep space, like psychological horror type things. It kind of reminds me of like the Galaxy of Terror or some of those older ones from the 80s. And also it kind of seemed like maybe a plot out of like Star Trek or something, but really darker, like much more horror a presentation, but it kind of reminded me of like a theme that would have been like from or a story that could have been out of the old Star Trek show from the 60s, but like updated and made like really scary because they would always run into weird scenarios like that.
What about you, PWM?
Yeah, you know, back when we were doing the live stream podcast on my YouTube channel, where we were doing you know, all those videos and stuff. One of my next like ideas was to do, you know, top 25 films of the 1990s, top 25 films of the 1980s, top 25 films of the 1970s. But like when you do stuff like that, you really have to put in the time because you don't want, like when you're talking about a whole decade, you really need to watch some fucking films and you need to do some homework and stuff. Otherwise, you're kind of just spouting off of the mouth. You're not really, you haven't watched the films. You don't really have a good idea of what was the best films. And that's kind of how I was with this top 5 that we did. That's a movie that I wanted to rewatch, Event Horizon. I hadn't seen it in many years, but I was glad that we had that reprieve where we actually had some more time because I started marathoning fucking 90s films. But Event Horizon was one of those ones that I left off that I just couldn't get to. But I've heard great things about it, man. So I wish I would have watched that one. And who knows? Maybe that'll be in my top 5 next time.
I've never seen it, but it gives me alien vibes.
Yeah, is that the no, the one where the beautiful naked chick is fucking walking around is the Toby Hooper one, right?
Life Force. Oh my God.
That one is so sick. But yeah. I've heard great things about fucking Event Horizon. But Life Force is another space horror one, but I think that's 80s.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was Zomberry's. What was it? Number 2. We're gonna go to PWM's number 2.
From Stephen King, originator of Pet Sematary. Michael McDowell, creator of Beetlejuice. And George Romero, director of Night of the Living Dead. Comes 4 tales of horror.
Don't make light of it.
Tales from the dark side.
PWM's got Tales from the Dark Side at number 2, 1990.
Yeah,
movie.
man. So this is a very nostalgic series for me. Like when I was a kid, like my mom grew up on Twilight Zone, and I have so much respect for Twilight Zone. But when I was a kid, my series was Tales from the Dark Side, and I always felt like it was a ghetto Twilight Zone. Like it wasn't as good. And I didn't even know when I was younger and stuff that George A. Romero had anything to do with it. I did not know that all these different directors directed the different episodes and stuff. I just thought it was just some, you know, whatever, some movie production company or TV series produced all this. But I just love the films, man. And I love the intro, the Tales from the Dark Side. And so that was my shit. That was my Twilight Zone growing up. And then whenever they came out with the movie, I was like, man, is this going to be good as like the Twilight Zone fucking movie? And I even think it's better than the Twilight Zone movie. Like it was a fucking blast. The first, it's only got 3 movies in the, it only has 3 shorts in the movie. And the first one I really enjoyed. It has, I forgot his name. Why am I thinking Crispin Glover?
Christian Slater?
Yeah, Kristen Slater. It's got the fucking mummy one, and it's about this mummy. How they have this fucking mummy, and these guys are trying to win this award at this prestigious college and shit. And the mummy comes to life, and all the different stuff that they do to a real mummy in life. How they put the hangers in the fucking nose and pull the brains out of the fucking. All of that shit is incorporated. Like all the kills are like exactly what happens to a mummy, like back in the old days and shit in ancient Egypt or whatever. So it's kind of badass, you know, like a guy, like the mummy literally sticks a fucking hanger in somebody's nose and pulls their brain out their nostrils. And so I love the first one. The second one is kind of like Cat's Eye. It's basically Cat's Eye. But you know what I mean? Like it's a George A. Romero type of deal with a black cat. I don't remember the actor in that movie, the old guy in that movie, but he's an iconic fucking film legend. And but my favorite is the fucking third one that has Ray Dawn Chong in her ultimate fineness, and it has it's basically like a gargoyle fucking film. And I'm trying to get, let me see, the main actor in it is James Remar, who's been in a ton of fucking shit. And this is the only one that I didn't rewatch, so it's been about a year since I've seen it, but I watch it like every couple of years because I love it so much. And at the beginning of the film, he just sees this like gargoyle from a statue like turn into a real fucking gargoyle and come down, and it's gonna kills this motherfucker right in front of him, and it's gonna kill him. And all of a sudden the gargoyle tells him, if you never say anything about me ever in your life, you will be okay and you will never die. I will never kill you. I'll never cause harm to you. And he's like, fuck, okay, yeah, for sure. And the fucking gargoyle disappears in the fucking mist of the night. And very next day, this motherfucker who's like down on his luck, alcoholic, fucking book writer. I might be making some of this shit up, but you know what I mean? He's like writes books, I think, or writes stories or whatever. And he's an alcoholic novelist and shit. That type of fucking shit. By himself, lonely as fuck, meets this beautiful woman, Ray Dong Chong's character, and they fall in love. And the rest is history. They have children together. There's a beautiful romance that happens in the movie, and it's a really touching film. Like, I feel like that third installment could have been a whole fucking movie. It was so fucking good. And all of a sudden at the end of the movie, sorry if you guys have not seen this, it's bothering him so much what happened to him 20 years earlier. He says, I have to tell you what happened one night, the night before I met you. And he starts breaking down exactly what fucking happened. And all of a sudden she turns into the fucking gargoyle and says, I told you not to tell me to start. And go, dude, it is fucking awesome.
God damn it.
Fucking shreds the shit. I think he killed, I think the gargoyle kills him and the fucking kid. I'm sorry.
I should have cut you off.
Hey, listen, the actual kids turn into gargoyles as well and fucking shred him to fucking bits, dude. It's fucking badass.
I'm kind of mad I didn't cut you off because I love what do they call these? Like anthology movies?
Yes, anthology.
I love anthology movies and Tales from the Crypt, and I've never seen this one.
Number 2 on my list, baby. Tales from the Dark Side, the movie.
I just feel like the Sixth Sense all over again. I know the ending. What about?
Hey, I'm dropping some gems for you guys, man.
Yeah.
Some of these movies you gotta see.
What says you, Zomberry? You seen this one?
Oh yeah, I've got the Scream Factory Collector's Edition of this one.
Oh shit, it has the gargoyle.
I love this movie. Yeah, it's got the gargoyle on the cover and the cat and the mummy.
Is that Blu-ray? Is that Blu-ray or DVD?
Yeah, it's Blu-ray.
Oh, cool! I need to get that. I watched it on Laserdisc.
Yeah, I too loved Tales from the Dark Side, the regular TV show. It was such a creepy intro with the black and white, the Tales from the Dark Side kind of creepy voice coming in there. It was, scarier to me as a kid than the Tales from the Crypt intro, but I like that one too, Creep Show. I like all of those things. But Tales from the Dark Side was kind of one of the originals, and I loved watching those.
I watched a lot of top 5 lists like up to doing this podcast, and no one ever has Tales from the Dark Side in their top 5, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no one has it in their top 5. No.
You mentioned Christian Slater, but did you say Steve Buscemi? Because he's in the.
Yeah, he's in it too.
In the Mummy one. Yeah.
He's great. He's the nerd, right? The one that he's he's really good in that one. He's really good.
The whole premise of telling these stories to the witch to try to stay alive.
Shit. Yeah.
Like that's the overarching story is the kid that's writing, he draws cartoons as like a newspaper kid. He's telling these stories to the witch so the witch doesn't kill him. And that goes all the way back to 1001 Arabian Nights, hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
The story's been told forever.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that because I didn't write any notes for this, but the wraparound story, I actually enjoyed that as much as some of the fucking anthology. Like, I love the wraparound story. And the wraparound story, I think I talked about this in one of my YouTube videos. The wraparound story has not Joey Lawrence from Blossom, but his younger brother, who was in some other films with them. But, just an adorable young kid and stuff. But I can't remember the witch that was going to cook him in the oven. She's also played by someone that's really cool. And a blonde lady, and I can't remember what her name is, but she plays a great witch in the movie who's going to cook him up.
It's Deborah
so
Harry.
If you guys don't know, Tales from the Dark Side, that wraparound story, the kid is locked behind, this cage, and the blonde lady is in the kitchen chopping up the vegetables, and she's going to cook him just like Hansel and, like Hansel and Gretel, right? And but he keeps on saying, no, you don't have to do that right now. I have a story for you.
Uh-huh.
So the anthology is him telling stories, and he keeps on, like, as soon as that story ends, she's like, no, it's time to fucking cook you up. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I have another story. It's a really good story. Come on. It's so fucking good, man. That wraparound is excellent. Like, man.
I'm really surprised you don't remember her name because it's Debbie Harry from Videodrome.
Oh,
Is
man.
Debbie Harry Blondie? Blondie?
Yeah. No,
yes.
Isn't that Blondie?
Yes. It looks like Blondie. Are you talking about the rock and roll singer?
Isn't Debbie Harry Blondie?
Yes, that's also Debbie Harry.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
That's crazy.
Okay, the movie. Okay, it's not number 2 for me. It's number 1.
You already got your list. You can't change it, but you sold me.
Changing it, motherfucker.
You sold me on this one. Do you think this one gets lost in the shuffle, like anthology movies, shows? Because I don't see how. I don't see how. The TV series was legendary. The movie's legendary. But yeah, the movie definitely gets lost. Like I said, I went and watched, 30 videos of top 5s and top 10s, and no one said it was in their top 5. I'm like, what's going on here? Because I've heard of Tales from the Dark Side, but I don't hear as much hype for it, like in comparison to like Twilight Zone, like Tales from the Crypt, even Tales from the Hood.
And speaking of Tales from the Crypt had 2 90s movies, 2 90s horror movies.
Is that Bordello of Blood?
Yeah,
Demon Night.
Demon Night,
and which I like those movies. And then Twilight Zone only had a 1980s release. It had no 90s movies.
I like that part with Dan Aykroyd where he's like, "You want to see something scary?"
That's badass.
That scared the shit out of me when I was little.
That's badass. That's badass.
Tylord, thoughts on Tales from the Dark Side?
I haven't seen it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I have my mic. Oh, I haven't seen it, but man, he sold me on that. When he told me that gargoyle story right now, I kind of felt chills going through my. I felt some goosebumps.
I kind of wish I would have cut you off because I'm like, I haven't seen it, and that would have been a cool reveal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the only thing with this, with the spoiler. Yeah, sorry about that, man. But
but what do you call the TV show? I might have been too young to watch that, but I remember that was like one of those shows I really wanted to watch, and if I did, I would stay up all night and have nightmares or be scared. But I remember it was on late at night. And my folks would watch it, and they said, go to bed, but I want to watch as much as I could. And that intro was so creepy. Even if you didn't watch the show, you watch that intro and you have nightmares.
And I think they did that, like the intro was the extra too. They did an extra, you know what I mean? Like they just repeated the intro with the extra. It's like
just that it's like an orchard or a forest, and it's in like a reverse
like the negative.
Negative. Yeah, it's just something about that's like super creepy. The music.
One of my favorite episodes. So, like, I don't know if you guys remember, I picked up the whole series on fucking DVD, like the complete series. They don't have it on. I don't think they have it on Blu-ray, but I picked up the whole TV series on DVD, like I don't know, 6 months ago or whatever. I started going through the episodes and stuff. And one of my favorite episodes, I'm probably not going to explain it right because it's been a while, but a guy wakes up in an apartment and he's locked in his apartment. He can't fucking get out. And all of a sudden, this guy on his TV saying, "Today's the day you're going to stop smoking cigarettes." And he's like, it's fucking so good. Like, he can't smoke any cigarettes and stuff. And
that's kind of like
he has a pack there. They give him a pack, you know? So every time he smokes the cigarette, like all these alarms go off and these lights are shining on him and it's demoralizing him and causing him all this pain and shit. And he's like, I won't smoke no more. I won't smoke no more. And then all of a sudden he does it again the next day or whatever. And then all of a sudden he realizes there's a guy in the next room from him. He has no cigarettes left and they're talking through vents. And he's like, are you the new guy in here? Do you have any cigarettes over there? And they start passing cigarettes through the vents and shit. And
don't they send him like his wife's finger or something for
that
smoking
was
one?
Eye.
Yeah, that's cat's eye.
I can't remember, but the craziest thing about it is like he's drinking coffee. Like they make it a point to let you know he's drinking coffee during this whole thing. He can't, he's getting punished for the cigarettes, but he's drinking coffee. And then all of a sudden, at the end where he stops smoking cigarettes, he wakes up and the guy's on the TV. He thinks he's getting out. And the guy on the TV says, it's time to stop drinking coffee.
Oh, yeah.
He's like fucking stuck in the house. He can't have coffee no more. It's like hilarious, bro. It's like
that was a good one.
It's one of my favorites, man. I love that.
Hey, was Shadow Man a Twilight Zone or a Tales from the Dark Side? Do you remember that one, the Shadow Man?
Sounds like Twilight Zone.
The kid had this guy that lived under his bed. This big shadow, looked like the Undertaker's silhouette or something, would come up over his bed, and he's scared of him, like he doesn't want to go to bed. And the Shadow Man said, "The Shadow Man does not harm whoever's bed I live under." And he was kind of like his genie, like he would get revenge on the bullies at school with the Shadow Man. You remember that?
I don't know. I don't remember
if that was Tales from the Dark Side or Twilight Zone.
Yeah, there's some. I would definitely say to check out the Tales from the Dark Side series and pick up the DVD. It wasn't that expensive. You can watch all the episodes, man. There's some good episodes.
How many seasons did that go on?
It's like 3 seasons.
Okay.
It's like 89 episodes or some shit like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed out on. I gotta check those out. I missed out on Tales from the Dark Side. Well, now it's my turn to go to number 2, and I'm about to piss off the PMM.
Horror has many faces, but pure evil wears only one. And this is your final chance to see it. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, rated R.
At number 2, I've got Jason Goes to Hell. And let me do a hot take here. This is the best Evil Dead movie. Jason Goes to Hell is the best Evil Dead movie.
Oh god.
I bet I saw this one maybe last week, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm gonna try to be objective because I love Jason Voorhees, so I'm biased to anything that has Jason Voorhees in it. Try to watch it objectively. Like, okay, maybe it shouldn't be in my top 5. I don't care. I love this movie. I don't care that it's weird and the storyline doesn't really make sense. And there's a worm that goes from people's mouth to people's mouth. And there's this weird Creighton Duke guy. And he talks about putting, like, what does he say? Like, it's like putting a weenie in a hot dog, or a hot dog in a donut or some shit. Like some weird ass line. I love this. I think it's like very underrated and not the bastard child of the Friday the 13th series, but I think it's not deserved. I think it's a good horror movie. What says you, Tylord? I know you like this one.
I agree with you. I like it. it's something different. Like I probably would have preferred regular Jason other than Worm and Jason, the little creature that possesses bodies. But that was like kind of a different take on it. And the beginning scene of this is like one of the coolest scenes of any Friday the 13th. And that girl has to be like within the top 3 or 4 hottest women of the Friday the 13th series, and she gets naked. But that beginning part is cool. I like the idea, like the I don't know if it was the FBI or the cops like set him up with the girl, and he chased her out to the field where they all ambushed him and blew him up. I thought that was like a cool take on it. And then it ties into Evil Dead, like you say, which is cool. And Freddy shows up at the end of his hand, but I think like they wanted to go for like the big reveal. Like you don't see Jason through the whole thing, and then at the end it's supposed to be like a big reveal, like when he finally does come out, the actual Jason, and that's kind of cool. But by then I was kind of invested into the story, so I didn't really care anymore. Like I thought it was good.
That's what I think. I think
Yeah.
Jason not being around for the body of the movie makes you like want Jason to come out. So when he comes back, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Jason's here, like, and he jumps through the floorboards and he starts whooping on that dorky guy, throwing him into that playground shit. Like, man, I don't know. PWM, I think you gotta.
You don't even have to ask me. So I mean, did you have Candyman on your top 5?
No, it was like maybe like in 6 through 10 somewhere.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this is the only one that I got on your top 5 so far, by the way.
Oh, okay.
This is it. This is the only one that I fucking got on your top 5. So I'm very surprised. Yeah, I've missed every single one, and I don't think I have. Zomberry had Candyman number 5, I believe.
Right, he did.
Yeah.
That was it. That's the only one I have on him too.
Yeah, I think
very surprising.
This is a misunderstood Friday the 13th movie.
I'm not even going to talk about.
I think
I don't even want to talk about
it. The effects are awesome in this movie. Like I love that part where the guy that's like, you know, Jason has taken over. He goes into that diner and he fucking stuffs that little short guy's face into the fucking grease.
Yeah.
And then the wife is like, leave my whatever alone, and he fucking elbows her right in the mouth and caves in her whole like teeth into. I don't know, man. I think this movie's awesome.
I hate the way Jason looks in this movie. Like, I mean, when we finally get Jason, I just hate the way he looks.
I kind of like how he looks because it's different, and it's kind of like Jason has been around so long that now, and he's been wearing the mask, and you know.
I get that.
Jason probably doesn't shower and change clothes. Like the mask kind of caved into like his skull.
I get all that. I mean, I understand all that. I get all that, but it's just like I just don't like it the way he looks. I don't know.
Oh man, I love it. And go ahead, Zombie.
I've been known to like this one too, and I appreciate what the director had done. By kind of retconning like all the ones before that, by explaining, and like you said, it's the best Evil Dead, you know, through the Necronomicon, that Jason is a Deadite, and that's how he can keep coming back, and he dies and comes back again, or why there's like this weird time lapse in the first couple ones where you really shouldn't be a grown-ass adult because it was only a few years. So, you know, it kind of explains a little bit of, you know, fills in those plot holes.
I think this movie explains why Army of Darkness is my favorite Evil Dead movie of all time, and why Jason Goes to Hell is my favorite Jason movie of all time. That's what it explains.
I'm a big figure collector. I'm hoping they one day make that Creighton Duke figure.
Yeah.
I want a Creighton Duke Funko. That's what I want.
But you know what? Like this one, I think will always also.
Oh, is Creighton Duke? Is he in the game? Can you be him?
No, that'd be awesome.
Oh, that'd be pretty.
And
cool,
then you can break people's fingers, like.
Yeah. Oh, that was another weird scene. Like out of nowhere, the guy's just like a sadist, and he likes to. Yeah.
Did you send Tylord that game too?
I sent it to both of you. I sent it. I sent Friday the 13th digitally, both to you and Tyler.
You sent me one. Oh, cool.
I played. Oh, you didn't know this? I played it like a few times, and like I get my ass kicked every time I play it.
We gotta set up a session because I sent it to you, Tyler, digitally through the Xbox.
Yeah, we need to play all together. Me, you, and Tylord.
Yeah, because Zomberry's not on the Xbox. He's team PlayStation.
That's like an iPhone guy.
I should also be on Xbox. I think I have 3 Xbox Ones in the garage.
Oh, come on now. We gotta play Friday the 13th, the new one. That one's fun. I'll teach you guys how to play it. I'm pretty good at it. But Friday the 13th, I think this one will always hold a special place in my heart because this is the first Friday the 13th movie I ever saw in the theaters. Like I had watched I think I remember watching 5, 6, and 8 a lot, like on VHS. Yeah, and this was the first one that I ever went to the theaters with my mom and my sister to watch, like in the theaters. And so I was already like, I loved Jason already.
Yeah, see that fucked you up. Yeah.
So no matter what,
I mean, come on, that's the listen. Nostalgia plays a big part of our lives. I mean, we can't even fucking deny that.
It's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
When we watch a movie, what time we watch the movie, what year, who we're with, what friends we have at the time, what mood we're in. I mean, that plays a big part. It always does.
I'm not gonna deny it. This was like not in the best part of town either. It's like an East LA commerce area, and my mom's like, "You guys want to go watch for a movie?" And I don't know how we wound up watching that one, but I was like, "Oh yeah, Jason! Like I know Jason." And so this one.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't go see Jason Takes Manhattan while you were out there in the hood.
Hey, speaking of that, they said there was supposed to be before Jason Takes Manhattan. There was supposed to be like a Jason Takes LA, where he was gonna fight
Jason Takes Compton,
where he was gonna fight like the Bloods and the Crips.
Jason Takes Compton, man, that would have been badass. I would have might have been better.
Gets in a fist fight with Cheech Marin.
That'd been badass,
man. All right. Well, that was my number 2. So now we're getting down to it, to our final picks, our number 1s. Speaking of Cheech Marin, we're gonna go to Tylord's number 1 pick here.
Ancient ground. A terrifying evil has been unleashed. Now, 5 strangers are our only hope to stop it.
Oh yeah!
On Friday, January 19th.
Richie, look out!
The showdown
Open the door!
Is on. From Robert Rodriguez, from Quentin Tarantino, from dusk till dawn. Rated R.
At his all-time favorite 90s horror movie, Tylord's got From Dusk Till Dawn, 1996.
Right. And I'm glad I picked this one because I recently rewatched all these, and man, this is like one of my favorite movies of all time. All these movies I picked you can argue they're not horror, they're more action. This one, you could say the same thing about. It starts off, it's actually kind of a disturbing movie. It's a vampire movie at the end, but the first half of the movie is like a crime thriller, suspense movie about these brothers that just robbed a bank, and they're trying to get to Mexico to do some kind of deal, and they have the money with them, and they've kidnapped this poor bank teller. There are these 2 crazy brothers. George Clooney kind of is more of a reasonable guy. He's kind of has more ethics. Tarantino's the brother Richie and Seth Gecko. George Clooney's Seth. This is my second favorite George Clooney movie. He's really good in this. Tarantino plays this part good. The crazy brother, he plays him really good. Like he's a real scumbag. I think he has mental problems. He rapes women. He kills people. He's really paranoid. And the other guy is kind of has a more level head, and he's always trying to be reasonable. But it's a really cool buildup of these characters at the first half of the movie. and even like the dialogue's all really good. Robert Rodriguez did this, but you can tell his buddy Quentin probably had a lot to do with the writing. Quentin, this is probably the best Quentin Tarantino role. I don't know if he's plays a part in too many other movies, but he just plays a real scumbag in this, and the character build up is really great in the first half of the movie. Like, these guys are really scumbags. Like, these are the type of characters that you would see like Chuck Norris beat their ass. Like, you'd want to, like, these would be the bad guys in like a Chuck Norris movie. Chuck Norris would be the marshal, and you really want to see Chuck Norris karate kick these guys. But the movie like follows them, and it's really interesting. And it's not a horror movie at all, like supernatural, nothing like that going on. I think it's a really good movie. And then the Harvey Keitel's character is the father of the family that they take hostage in their RV, and Harvey Keitel plays a priest, and he's a really cool character. Like, he's a priest that's lost his faith because his wife died in a car accident, and he has his 2 kids with him. One of them's a little Asian kid, like he's adopted, and then the other one's Juliette Lewis, and she's probably like 20 or 22 in this movie, but she plays it off like she's really young. And so that makes it really creepy when Tarantino interacts with them. Like, it's really uncomfortable movie, like the way this family's being held hostage. It's kind of, I always thought it was kind of scary. And there's all kinds of, but anyway, it builds up to they're going to meet at this bar in Mexico called the Titty Twister. And it's this bar in Mexico, and and Cheech Marin's out there. Cheech Marin plays a few characters in this. He plays like the border patrol, or the border officer, and he plays the guy that Clooney's trying to meet at the bar, and he plays the guy outside the bar with the craziest dialogue in the movie. This movie is so politically incorrect. Like,
he's like a carnival barker out there, right?
Yeah. But this movie's so politically incorrect. Like, the first half of the movie, like, there's so many like insults to mentally handicapped people and gays and different races. It's such a politically incorrect movie. But I don't know if they could get away with making a movie like this now, like it. Anyway, but man, fantastic build up with these characters to go to this bar. And then once you get to the bar, it's kind of a rough place. Like, truckers and bikers go there only, and you see there's kind of like a relationship building between Clooney, the Gecko brothers, and the family. Like, they're starting to kind of respect each other. And then when this all happens, they're at the bar, and then Selma Hayek comes out and does the dance. Like, one of the most fantastic things I've ever seen on film. Oh man, absolutely.
Hey,
like, she doesn't even get
Tylord,
naked. But
Tylord, would you let her shove her toes in your mouth?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of foot fetishes, we were talking about Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo is also in this. Speaking of foot fetish, Quentin Tarantino's character in this has a foot fetish. Like, he's looking at the woman's foot, like he wants her to take her shoes off. The poor bank teller that they kidnapped, and he ends up killing her. And then Selma Hayek ends up like fulfilling his fantasy, like putting her foot in his mouth and pouring the tequila down her foot. But fantastic scene. But then the movie just turns into something totally different after that. It turns into a supernatural vampire horror movie. And it's really awesome because it built up all these characters, and now we know these characters, and now they're like the heroes of a horror movie. So it's really awesome the way that Rodriguez and Tarantino did this movie. It just totally changes tone. And I would say the one thing this movie has that I don't like is crappy CGI. It has that stupid morph effect, like that was kind of started around the 90s. But other than that, like the practical effects, there's a big rat that Tom Savini turns into, and that's so freaking cool. All the vampire and dismemberment effects are awesome in this. Speaking of Tom Savini, it's cool to see him. He plays a guy at the bar named Sex Machine. He has like
Sex Machine.
he has a pistol on his crotch with 2 cylinders on each side. But and then not only that, but who else is in the bar? One of my favorite like top 3 actors of all time, and I forgot he was in this. Fred Williamson is in the bar at the bar, and he's like one of the hero characters. I forgot Fred Williamson was in this. He was like I don't think he was in too many mainstream movies after like the 80s, but he plays a pretty big part in this, and he's like a crazy war veteran. He's talking about how he cut up all these people in Nam, but he plays but he's badass as ever. Like I was so happy I forgot Fred Williamson was in this. He's badass as ever. Like he rips out a vampire's heart with his bare hands, and then of course when he turns into a vampire, when he gets bit, all of a sudden he's like the king of all vampires.
His transformation was the scariest to me, like the way he looked.
Yeah, but really cool stuff. Like Tom Savini turned into one. Like with what's his name? Fred Williamson was giving his speech about being in Nam killing people, but then it just kind of like focuses on Tom Savini. He's trying to hide that he's turning into a vampire. Like his teeth are getting long and his hands are elongating, and he's trying to hide it. But I thought that was pretty funny. But then when Tom Savini turns into that rat thing, that's like a cool effect. That big giant rat. and then all the creative weapons they come up with to fight the zombies. Like Harvey Keitel's a priest, so he's holding the shotgun with a baseball bat or like a club, making a cross to keep them away. And then he cocked the gun with the bat, and then he'd shoot them when they get too close. And then George Clooney made this weird motorized contraption with a wooden stake that would like a chainsaw. And he would bless holy water, and they make condom holy water grenades.
I think this one can be like a Friday the 13th Evil Dead game. Like a multiplayer.
I don't think there's ever been a game, and I've seen the second one. I don't know if I've seen all the sequels, and there was a new TV series on that was pretty good. Robert Rodriguez did it, and it was pretty much like scene for scene, like a remake, but they added in a bunch of bull crap, like they're aliens and stuff. I kind of like this one because it's like good and evil, like God versus Satan. Like I thought it was a really cool movie. From Dusk Till Dawn, definitely my favorite horror movie from the 90s, if you can call it that.
I think this one would have ranked higher for me if it wasn't for the CGI you mentioned.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But even that, like, it doesn't take away enough for me to not put it up there.
I almost put it into my list. I really liked the very end reveal when they pan the camera out and they show the titty twister just on this cliff where there's thousands of cars ditched below it.
Yeah.
PWM, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, man, this is almost in my top 5 now. Like literally, like I think I forgot to keep this in my top 5. My top 5 changed so fucking much.
Yeah,
great film, and me and Tyler have talked about this in the past. Like, so Robert Rodriguez directed this, right? Quentin Tarantino like just was a part of it, produced it, or something like that.
He did some of the writing for it, and he was the actor in it.
And he definitely plays a creepier role in the movie. He's one of the creepier roles in it. But we talked about how they Quentin Tarantino copies directors and stuff, and he definitely does that. I don't know, like when I watched this movie for the first time, it was one of the first times that I remember watching a film and going like a whole 45 minutes to 50 minutes into a movie, and then all of a sudden the fucking movie flipped on me.
Yeah.
So that always stuck with me when I watched this film. I was like, wow, that's incredible. But guess what? I hated it when the first time I watched it.
Oh, yeah.
I loved the first 50 minutes of it. And
I
was
hell
like,
yeah. So good, yeah.
What the fuck is this shit? Now it's a vampire fucking film? This is stupid as fuck. But man, over the years, watching this over and over again, man, I really appreciated it. And I love Fred Williamson as well. So it's like
Yeah.
that was another thing. I was like, oh fuck, he's in this, man. He's killing vampires. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And Tylord explained a lot of the stuff that happens at the end of the movie. But yeah, man, I fell in love with this movie later on. But at first, when I first watched this movie, I was a little bit pissed off that it changed from what it was.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah, because
this is an awesome fucking like natural born killers type
Yeah.
of fucking movie,
Yeah.
you know? Like, don't fuck it up, you know? But yeah, it's a cool film, man, and very different than anything that came out around the time. So I mean, yeah, credit to it. Credit to Robert Rodriguez and fucking Tarantino.
Right.
All right. That was your all-time favorite 90s movie, Tylord. So now we're going to go to Zomberry's all-time favorite 90s horror movie.
Now you see it, now you don't. It has returned with vengeance. It is evil personified.
I'll kill you all. I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true.
Can it be stopped?
It's coming! It's coming!
Richard Thomas, John Ritter, Harry Anderson. It, the terrifying conclusion. A special movie presentation tonight on CTV.
So there was no movie theatrical trailer because this would never made it to the theaters. This is Zomberry's pick.
That wasn't quite a movie trailer voiceover.
It was a TV movie, made for TV horror movie.
It was not the regular guy who does all the intros to every horror movie.
Tell us about it.
I guess technically this is a made-for-TV two-part series, but I count it as a movie. So it was released in 1990, and being 11 years old, I remember watching it on TV. It came out one part, like half the movie came out one night, and then a couple nights later, the second part of the movie came out. And I remember the first part of the movie. We all know what this is about. Little kid dies, gets pulled into the sewer by an evil that's taking the visage of a clown, because that's what Georgie was afraid of at the time. And so later on in life, his brother Bill and his group of friends, the Losers Club, decide to investigate and avenge or find Georgie. They end up finding this clown, that's Pennywise, the dancing clown, and trying to exact their revenge on it. So the first part of the movie is them as children and their interaction with Tim Curry as Pennywise, I love Tim Curry. He's an amazing actor in almost everything. And in the second half of the movie, after they beat Pennywise as children with one of their, they realize that the things that they believe can help fight Pennywise, sort of like the Dream.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Dream
Master,
Warriors.
Dream Warriors. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they believe that they could fight this, and that one of the guys' asthma inhalers was battery acid. They spray Pennywise and he melts. And they believe that he killed him, but in the second half of the movie, they have to come back as adults. I think the first half got really, really good previews. This was on ABC, and that year it was their highest rated or most viewed television series of the entire year on ABC. they were airing it opposite of President Bush going out and doing things on TV, and so they beat the president. But the second half didn't get as high of a viewership, and I think it's because they're adults and not kids. It was a little less scary, but some more good actors in it. I like Harry Anderson. He's the guy that plays Judge Harry in Night Court. It spawned a sequel that's also good, but I really like the Tim Curry Pennywise better than the new one.
What do you think, PWM?
Yeah, man. I mean, really cool film. I mean, obviously everybody has the problem with the adult part of it, the end of the adult part of it, where and I haven't watched it too many times, but where the it clown turns into this giant spider mechanism creature.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody hates on the film. That's the biggest part of the film where people dislike. I've heard people say the new Pennywise is better, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, because that guy is awesome. In the first installment, that guy is so spooky, man. He's a creepy character, man. Very, very good, very well played, much better. Yeah, man, it's a cool film. I can't talk no shit about it, man.
Tylord, what do you think about this one?
I like it. I agree with all that. This was a big deal when it came out. Like, everyone was watching this. Everyone was scared to death of it, especially kids. I guess especially that first half. It kind of has a cool, like maybe almost like Goonies or Stand By Me type vibe. The first one, or yeah. But I don't know. I didn't mind the second half, and I didn't mind the spider. But Tim Curry's that's probably the best TV villain in a TV horror movie ever.
I saw this one. I think I rented it in late 90s, and I fell asleep because I think it was so fucking long. I just fell asleep and never watched it again. So I'm in the camp where I didn't really like it, the modern one, the first half, but I really liked the second part 2 or whatever, it too. But I bought the steel book, the original steel book Blu-ray, because I want to give it another chance to watch it. Because when I tried to watch it, it was I was 15 or something, and I just fell asleep trying to watch it. So
it's like a Stephen King book too, right?
Yeah,
Stephen King's story, right?
Has anybody read the Stephen King book?
No, I haven't.
No. Mm-mm.
Has anybody read the Exorcist book?
No. It's super long, isn't it? The Exorcist book?
I'm sure it is.
I was at a yard sale and someone snatched the fucking Exorcist book from an estate sale, and I was like, fuck, that would have been cool to own.
So you guys are not book readers.
I read all the Jaws books.
That's the next question I was going to ask you. If you read the original Jaws book.
Yeah, I read. Yeah, that's one of the few things where the movie's better than the book. The book is really good. The Jaws 2 novel and the Jaws the Revenge novel are fantastic.
Oh, that's what I wanted to know. That's actually very strange. You're saying that the Jaws movie is better than the Jaws book.
Yeah. The Jaws book is pretty darn good though, but the movie's better.
See, that's why I'm wondering if the Exorcist book is better than the Exorcist film. That would be interesting to find out. And also,
you'd have to read it, I guess. I when I saw it at the estate sale, it looked like a fucking thick ass book. That Exorcist book.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. Well, that was Zomberry's number 1. We're gonna go to PWM's all-time favorite 90s horror movie now.
Yeah, what about the horse? What's the name of?
That's how they get you. They're under the goddamn ground.
What the hell are they?
Sons of bitches.
So the PWM pulled the fleece over our eyes. at his all-time favorite 90s horror movie, his Tremors.
Yeah, I had to do it, man. I decided to trick you guys on that one. Yeah, man. I love this film, man. I did not realize that I was going to put it number one, but like, again, the 90s is a weird decade to rank films and stuff. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because Tylord said so much about it already. But man, I fucking love the relationship between Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward. I think they're the best like buddy combo in movies in a long fucking time. And just sad to the point I want to cry in my fucking sleep every night that they did not do a Tremors 2 together. Yeah, Fred Ward did return in Tremors 2, but Kevin Bacon was on to bigger and better things, and they never were in a movie again, unless they were in like one of the newer movies. I have no clue. But that did kind of suck because, man, Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward were magic on fucking screen. And a weird series because, like, Michael Gross from Family Ties ended up being, like, the star of the series moving on. Like, you know, like 3 came out and 4 and 5. And, like, he ended up being, like, the guy you came back and wanted him to be in every fucking movie, you know? So... really cool. It's one of the best franchises. Forget being one of the best movies. Like it surprisingly enough, it like every movie was pretty good. Like for a lot of them. Now I have not seen every movie. I think I stopped at like 4 maybe. I definitely need to check out the other movies. But I love the film, man. I thought Tremors 1 was amazing. Now the story with Tremors 1, the first movie, I went to the theater 6 times to see it.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So I don't know what was going on. It was a time when I was a young man where that summer we were like really into watching movies. And I always remember watching the movie with my friend Calvin Allen, and he slept during the whole movie. And I was so pissed off. Like I woke him up. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? This is fucking Tremors. And he's like, dude, I watched the movie 5 times with you already, 3 times with our other friend. I'm sick of the fucking movie. And I'm like, oh, okay. It makes a little bit of sense. But we watched this movie over and over again at the theater, man. We loved it. And just a cool movie, man. The little snakes that come from the graboids are a little bit, you know, when you watch them now, you're like, they're a little bit funny. But the actual graboid character, that motherfucker, I'm not saying it's up there with Alien, the fucking creature from Alien, but that motherfucker's badass. Like the graboid character is a fucking badass creation. Like it's fucking awesome. And I love how they like would run off the cliff and it would run into a dam and kill itself and shit. Like there was some really cool shit that happened in that movie. That movie is like chicken fucking soup for the soul. Yeah, I can watch it like every week for the next year. Like I can watch it once every, you know what I mean? Like I watch the movie anytime and never get bored with it. I love it.
Yeah, heck yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I saw it recently too for this podcast. You know what I like is that the graboid or whatever, it's always like learning like what they're how they're trying to kill it.
Yeah, it got smarter and smarter. Yeah, it was like crazy.
I like how when it chucks the fucking dynamite back at them. They're like on top of the stuff.
Yeah, that was awesome. Now, I love how Michael Gross's character, they start getting to odds with fucking Kevin Bacon and fucking Fred Ward. Like all of a sudden you think some shit's going to pop off where they're like, you know what I mean? Like Kevin Bacon is trying to run shit. But Gross's character is like, there are some serious motherfuckers. Him and Reba McEntire, they're like some fucking, you know, post-apocalyptic. They're getting prepared for nuclear war, and you know you don't fuck with them. And like they start having that back and forth on the rocks and shit. And it's like you're like kind of rooting for Kevin Bacon, but you're like, wait a second. These motherfuckers are smart. They made pipe bombs and shit. You better be fucking listening to them. They know what the fuck they're doing. But Kevin Bacon's like a badass. You know what I mean? Like, and Fred Ward, dude, I love their fucking performance in the movie, man.
What do you What do you guys think of Reba McEntire's acting?
I don't mind it. I loved her in the film.
Yeah, I thought she was really good.
I thought,
she did well enough to have her own TV show.
Yeah, when I was watching it, I like jokingly was like, "Oh, check out Reba McEntire over here," but like thinking it wasn't Reba McEntire. And then I looked it up on my phone. I was like, "Oh shit, it is Reba McEntire," and I was like, "Yeah, she's pretty good. She was pretty good in that role."
Yeah, nah, she's not bad at all, man. I mean, chicken soup for the soul, boys.
And
that's the film right there, man.
But did you guys know that was Tito Santana's sister though?
Reba McEntire.
In WrestleMania 8 inside joke right there.
By the way, shout out to Family Ties, Michael Gross, the baddest motherfucker in the history of fucking dealing with fucking underground creatures.
All right. That guy's still around.
Hell yeah.
Hey, and spoiler alert, Tremors is the only one that made more than one person's list.
That's how good it is.
Tylord had it at 5, I think. And
very weird.
No, you had it at 4.
Weird.
Tylord had it at 4, and then PWM had it at 1.
But you guys had it as honorable mention, right?
Yeah, I had it like, it was top 10 for sure.
We haven't done honorable mentions yet, though.
That'll be next. But first, let me go to my number one all-time favorite 90s horror movie.
On this picturesque block, in this manicured home, something evil, something terrifying, something horrifying is haunting Lionel. His mother.
I thought I told you to spray this house. The place is infested with vermin.
Although she was a little strict,
Look at this dust. It's an inch thick.
he never wished her any harm.
You look after me like
Until
Your mother's dead, Lionel.
now, whatever Mom's got
Who's your mother?
has caught on with the neighbors.
She's been bitten! You know what that means?
You can pray.
I kick ass for the Lord!
You can plead. You can beg for mercy.
Help! Someone! Please!
But nothing you can do will stop.
There's thousands of them!
Because how do you kill something that's already dead? Trimark Pictures presents a modern masterpiece of horror.
Your mother ate my dog!
Dead Alive.
Party's over.
So at my all-time favorite 90s horror movie, I've got 1992's Dead Alive, a.k.a. Brain Dead. And I'm a little surprised none of you guys have this. I hope it makes somebody's honorable mentions. Because I saw, this is the last movie I saw, like, to complete my ranking. And I saw it this week, and I was like, man, this movie is even better than I remember. It's, like, super over the top. And it keeps, like, it has, like, a slow beginning, very slow beginning. But once it gets rolling, it, like, keeps, like topping itself. Like, every kill, every 5 minutes, you're like, holy shit, did that guy just, like, put his fist through that lady's mouth? And there's a part where, like, a guy, like, headbutts another guy and his head explodes. And then there's a baby, a zombie baby that's born, and the guy takes the zombie baby to, like, the playground, and he's like puts it in a headlock and punching it in the head. Like, this movie is like non-fucking stop, and I'm really surprised that it's in nobody's top 5. It's a Peter Jackson movie. It's pretty much like I guess it starts off on Skull Island. Isn't that where King Kong's from? Starts off in Skull Island.
Skull Island is King Kong.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And they capture like a rat monkey, and they bring it to like New Zealand, like the zoo, and then that rat monkey ends up biting like this guy's grandmother, and that mother's like, you know, like kind of like bosses the son around, like they're very enmeshed, the mother and the son, and she's always bossing him around. She gets bit by the rat monkey, and then she starts transforming into this weird like zombie. There's a scene where they're eating pudding, and her ear falls off and falls into the pudding, and then she eats the pudding with the ear in. This movie is, I don't know, man. This movie is like fucking insane, but I love it. Man, I'm really surprised. PWM, you watch this movie?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one for me. I mean, I know Peter Jackson. I've heard so much about this film, and I started to watch it, and I don't know why I never get through it for some reason.
It's a slow. It gets started very slow, like very slow.
But people fucking love it.
This movie's fucking awesome.
It's a cult fucking classic for so many people, for sure. So
I think you gotta rewatch it. I have a feeling you would like this one character in it.
I think so.
You gotta.
I think so. Definitely for you. This is my favorite pick from you for sure. Like no doubt. Like I mean, I know this is definitely a cool film. I need to watch it for sure.
Just get through the first 30 minutes. 40 minutes, and then man, this shit like doesn't stop. Like it keeps topping itself with the kills, and it's all like practical effects, and it just keeps getting more and more over the top. Tylord,
a lot of Peter Jackson fans are very pissed that he has not gone back to stuff like this, that he went mainstream, and they're really upset with him because they love this old school shit they used to do.
And I know you and Tylord are into like the martial arts movies. There's a scene where the fucking priest like goes to the graveyard and he's like, I kick ass for the Lord. And he starts busting out all these like kung fu moves on the zombies. He fucking sweeps a zombie's legs and cuts his legs off, and then fucking kicks his head off. Like, I don't know, Tylord.
Tyler will buy the 4K edition, I'm sure, soon.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this one, Tylord?
No, I like it. At the time when I watched it, I didn't realize who Peter Jackson was and all that. And I rented it at the video store because back then I was obsessed with anything zombie. So I rented this at the video store, and I thought it was going to be like some cheesy, low budget crap that I usually would rent. But man, it blew me away. Like, who is this? All of the gore and the lawnmower chopping up the zombies and all the body parts, and it was a kind of a super funny, over the top movie. And I didn't realize. Then I went on and I watched after that Bad Taste. You ever see that? I think that was his first.
That's movie. Another one, right?
I haven't seen that.
That one's super good too. That's like with aliens though, but it's the same type of over the top gore.
Yeah, he did two films like that.
Yeah. Bad Taste had so many. Not to take anything away from Dead Alive, that's probably the best one. But Bad Taste had so many rounds of ammunition shot off in that movie and so many explosions. Like it was so over the top.
Which is the one that has the dinner scene where they're like sitting at the dinner table?
That's that one. That's the Evil or Dead Alive.
Dead Alive, the pudding scene where the fucking ladies.
That's the pudding scene. Okay.
Yeah, where the old lady.
There is pudding. There is a pudding on Bad Taste, but.
Yeah, the old lady like has the rat monkey bite on her arm, and she like has a bandage over it, and she like pokes at it, and the blood the pus squirts onto the pudding, and then she starts eating the pudding.
I'm adding this to the list of movies I need to watch because I've never seen it.
Forget Rumpelstiltskin. Watch Dead Alive. You won't regret it.
Good.
It's like the practical effects, all the kills, they're like super creative. There's
it's not hard to find. It's usually streaming on
No, it's not. It's hard to find.
No, it's streaming.
I just sold my Blu-ray copy of the Blu-ray because I heard Peter Jackson say they're going to come out with a 4K soon. I sold it for $150, the Blu-ray.
Damn.
It's a hard to find movie.
No. What I'm trying to tell you is you can go on Amazon Prime and watch it for $1.99.
You sure? Because I don't know. I haven't seen it. I have the DVD,
Yes, of
which is like
course you
20 bucks.
can. Of course you can. Physical copies and like streaming is totally different
There's
stories.
I just watch it for it's just over the fucking top. There's like a nurse that gets her throat slit, so then her head keeps falling back, kind of like a Pez dispenser, kind of like it keeps. The guy like throws a ninja star at her head, and the head
Damn,
slaps.
that's a very disturbing way to talk about something. A Pez dispenser? What the fuck?
Yeah, and then the guy fosters all these alien guys. Remember all the zombie guys? He like starts fostering them and taking care of them and like trying to feed them.
Yeah. He has them all at the table.
Yeah, he has them like at the dinner table trying to like domesticate the zombies and
That's very disturbing, Mario. It's kind of like me saying I fucked a girl in the mouth and her head looked like a Pez dispenser. That's really disturbing what you just explained.
Yeah, but the lady whose head keeps snapping back, like he's trying to feed her, but the pudding keeps coming out of her neck because her head is like hanging on by a thread. So he like flips her head back and starts pouring the puddings directly into her like neck.
Well, I ultimately feel for what he's going through just hearing about it. Let me tell you,
must watch it, especially for remember the zombie baby scene, Tyler, where he's like beating the shit out of the zombie baby in the playground, and everybody's like looking like, why are you beating up this baby? But the baby's like trying to like eat other babies at the playground.
All right, so I just got a text. My sister is getting married. She got her boyfriend got down on one knee and offered marriage to her. So there you go.
Very nice.
My mom said, "I need to call you." I'm like, "I'm on a live podcast. I'm sorry. Just text me the information."
Yeah. All right. Well, we already went through our top 5, so I'll start with the PMM. What movies didn't crack the top 5 but were right there on the cusp?
All right, I do have a list, by the way, for that. So let me see if I can find it here. All right, so runner-up films. I did have Dark Angel. Let me just go with that. Does anybody know what Dark Angel is?
I don't know what that is.
All right, AKA I Come in Peace.
No.
Yep.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Still don't know.
So that was one of those ones I was like, is Mario going to let me get away with that? It's a sci-fi film, but I mean, damn. I mean, the guy who comes down and says, I come in peace is like fucking people up, murdering them left and right. And he's got like this injection of needle device. He's like killing everybody. It really is a horror film. I Come in Peace, and it's got fucking Dolph Lundgren, one of his first films. I love it, man. Owned it on Laserdisc. Great movie. First time watch for me, Return of the Living Dead 3.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I almost cried not putting this in my top 5. This fucking movie, my first time watch of it, I love the film. It's like a rock and roll version of, everybody loves Return of the Living Dead. I don't think I've seen Return of the Living Dead 2. I still need to go back and watch that one.
Yeah.
Part 3 is the one.
Return of the Living Dead 3 is like total rock and roll, badass bitch fucking. Man, you got to watch this film. If you haven't seen it, man, it is badass.
Part 3 is the one with the girl on the cover, right? With all the spiky stuff coming out of her.
She does all kinds of body piercings to prevent her from becoming a
I just
zombie,
remember
the pain.
I just remember the VHS cover.
Yeah. Listen, I tried to watch this movie like 100 times. I'm serious. Like in the beginning, they're in this FBI space lab or whatever. They're like doing tests on zombies and shit, and like I just wasn't into it because after watching Return of the Living Dead, the first one, I love that film so much, I just was not into it. But I wish I would have gave this movie a chance because it finally gets to, what happens in the film. It's like this young guy is in love with this beautiful woman and stuff, and they go out, and the dad is like kicking him out of the house or whatever and saying, you got to do this, we're about to move to a different, he's like a military guy that's involved in this operation with the fucking zombies and shit, and he's like, comes home and tells the son, we have to move and shit. And they're basically his son and this fine ass girl are fucking in the bedroom and shit. And they're not supposed to be there or whatever. They have whatever reason, they have one of his keys to get into the science labs and shit. And the dad comes home and says, we're moving. And he's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm in love. I'm not fucking moving anywhere. I'm staying here. So he fucking leaves with the girl. They take off in a fucking motorcycle or vehicle or whatever. And they get in a wreck and she fucking dies right then and there. And so he has these keys that he stole from his dad. And it's kind of a bullshit story. But they go back to the lab and he's using these keys and he gets into the fucking lab. And there's like all this scientific shit going on where they're like making zombies and shit. And he goes in there and turns his ex-girlfriend that's dead into a zombie. So now she's a zombie, but she's not trying to kill people. She still loves him. So there's a love relationship between human and zombie. It's fucking badass, man. And they end up going to like a store, like a fucking 7-Eleven or whatever. And there's a Mexican cholo gang playing like Gallagher on like an arcade game or whatever. They're like in there playing this arcade game and shit, like 3 of them, right? With this girl, these cholos and shit. And they go into the store and she doesn't know what she wants. She doesn't know if she wants blood or whatever. She's like, I need to eat. I need to fucking eat. She's going in there and fucking opening up Twinkies. So she's not paying for them. She's like in the store and opening up Twinkies and eating fucking chocolate candy bars and like she's just eating and eating and eating and eating. And like the Mexican cholos are like, hey man, what's wrong with your girlfriend, bro? And he's like, leave us the fuck alone. Leave us the fuck alone. Like, what the fuck, motherfucker? So they end up like robbing the store and shooting and killing the fucking clerk of the store and stuff. And all this shit fucking happens and stuff. And then all of a sudden, she turns into this fucking like zombie badass rock and roll chick. And it's them against these cholo gang members that are like, dude, I'm telling you right now, this fucking film is badass, man. Like, I don't know how I didn't put this in my top 5. It's so fucking good. The love relationship between them two is like iconic.
It sounds like it should have been in your top 5. From the sounds of it.
Man, I really needed this in my top 5. All right, that's it. I'm done. Oh, no, I'm sorry. So Return of the Living Dead 3, split second with Rutger Hauer.
Never seen it. Tylord knows it.
I have not watched either, but I'm putting it in there anyway because I've heard badass things about it. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. Child's Play 2,
right?
Which I can't believe none of you have mentioned.
Honorable mention for me. Child's Play 2.
Didn't rewatch that, but I have watched it. 7. How the fuck did no one mention 7?
Hey, let me say 7 is one of my all-time favorite horror movies, but I don't consider it horror. I consider it like a crime thriller.
I don't know. Okay, 7. Silence of the Lambs. Okay, here's my like. Yeah. Here's my. You guys don't know shit about movies. Here's the movie I'm bringing to the fucking forefront because I'm not gonna be mainstream motherfucker, right? Day of the Beast, Spanish fucking film, badass movie. Decided to leave that off the list. Check that out. Day of the Beast.
Never heard of it.
John Carpenter movie, In the Mouth of Madness. I watched that
with Sam Neill.
Sam Neill, loved it. Lord of the Illusions, Clyde Barker, 1990 film. Love the fucking movie.
I don't know.
Phantasm 3, another Clyde Barker film. Jacob's Ladder.
Didn't
rewatch it, but I watched it last year. And of course, Blair Witch.
Blair Witch Project.
Yep. Blair Witch Project. So, what did I want to say before I let you guys go? So, In the Mouth of Madness, Lord of the Illusions, Jacob Ladder, Phantasm 3. Fuck, I can't remember. Go ahead.
Zomberry. Honorable mention, Zomberry.
I don't have nearly as many. I've got one that's kind of on the cusp of is it horror or not, and that's The Good Son.
Oh, I had that one. Honorable mentions too.
Okay.
Yeah. Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah. really good one. Then I have 2 Kevin Bacon movies that are not Tremors, and those are Flatliners,
Stir of Echoes,
and Stir of Echoes.
Stir of Echoes, right?
Yeah, 2 very good movies.
Yeah.
And then I threw a funny one in there, Frankenhooker.
That's
it wasn't gonna make. It wasn't gonna make. Yeah, it's 90.
Yeah.
It wasn't gonna make my top 5. Not even close. But it's it's good. It's funny.
I feel like I need to watch that one. I keep hearing a lot of good stuff about that one.
That's a good 90s pick right there for sure.
And then one of my favorite ones that almost broke the top 5 that I loved as a kid, and that's The People Under the Stairs.
Yeah. Also, honorable mention for me too. Yep.
That's another movie that I've not been able to get through. I don't know why.
That's John Carpenter, right? People Under the Stairs.
That's Wes Craven, isn't it?
I think it's Carpenter.
No, I think it's Wes Craven.
What is it? Tylord knows. The professor knows.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen. I've always wanted to watch that. That's one of the
Carpenter.
Trust me, I'm right. It's Wes Craven.
It would be Wes Craven.
Ah, shit. I owe you a beer then.
Is
that it, Zomberry, for your honorable mentions?
Yeah, that's all.
Tylord, honorable mentions.
I had Tom Savini's remake of Night of the Living Dead, which
that's a good one.
Had a lot of good. Yeah, it was a pretty good remake. Solid, like probably one of the better remakes. It had good effects as usual with Tom Savini's people.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And it had Candyman was in there, Tony Todd. And speaking of that, I do have Candyman as an honorable mention. I have Stuart Gordon's Castle Freak is really good from the 90s.
Very good one.
I was thinking that was 80s because it has such a cool feel, like a cool gritty 80s feel, but it's actually 90s.
That's a good pick right there. That's a very good pick.
And then I kind of like, I had to throw in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Yeah.
Very
good
good one.
That in there.
Leatherface.
And then I had to put a Jason in there, so Jason Goes to Hell.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And then I had to put a Halloween in there, so I put Halloween 6.
Hell yeah. Guitar riffs.
H2O?
No, 6.
No, 6, the weird one.
With Paul Rudd.
No, I thought somebody would put H2O in there.
Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
That's it for your honorable mentions?
Yeah.
I go through mine. I had Thinner. Remember Stephen King?
Hey, what?
That's a witch one. It's kind of a gypsy spell one.
Do you remember how I did the YouTube joke about Thinner, about you? The Mexican joke?
No.
You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember.
I did the white man. Yeah, I did something on.
Oh, when you put the spell on me.
I put a spell on you on one of my YouTube videos.
I just barely.
Thinner.
I just barely
I was wondering if you've seen Thinner before. Okay. Yeah. So, all right.
I mean that gypsy girl that hikes up her skirt. Yeah, I had
I'm a big fan of Thinner.
I have Brain Scan with Edward Furlong. That was like right there.
Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
I had Misery.
That's a good one.
Oh, what did she say? Cockamamie or cockadoodie or whatever the fuck she says.
Cockadoodle.
I had Candyman. I had Innocent Blood, which I think PWM needs to watch. It's a vampire movie. It's pretty.
I've seen it.
It's Fright Night meets Goodfellas, pretty much.
Doesn't it have? Doesn't Innocent Blood have the comedian actor
Don Rickles? Don
Rickles in it?
Yeah, he turns into a vampire. It has like really cool like practical effects. Like when the sun hits them, they start like falling apart. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
I also have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I have the Next Generation.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Tremors.
Oh God.
Tremor.
How do you have that as your top favorite movie?
I love the whole.
Like that movie?
I love Matthew McConaughey in it, and that whole Illuminati stuff in it.
I didn't remember you liking that one.
I love it.
Chainsaw Massacre.
I think I had it as number 2 or 3.
God.
I have From Dusk Till Dawn. I have Serial Mom. I love Serial Mom. That one's good.
Oh yeah.
But it was kind of like I thought maybe it was more comedy than horror. And I already had Gremlins too. I have Night of the Living Dead, like Tylord said, the Savini one. Yeah. People Under the Stairs. Halloween 6, like you mentioned. Troll 2. I love Troll 2. I think Rumpelstiltskin took Troll 2's place.
Yeah.
Mikey. You guys need to watch Mikey. It's pretty much a straight to VHS The Good Son. It's The Good Son, but straight to VHS. Mikey. Disturbing Behavior with my high school crush, Katie Holmes.
Disturbing Behavior has Rob Lowe in it, right?
No, it has the guy that plays like Cyclops from the X-Men, early X-Men movie.
I can't remember that movie.
Yeah, it's like they're like in high school and they're like injecting high school kids with drugs and it's making them into like weirdo, like, I don't know. It's a weird movie. I have Tales from the Hood. I like
That's a good 90s film. Yeah.
I have Leprechaun, the first one. I like Leprechaun, the original.
I mean, most people consider that a bad movie. Like, I don't know.
But I saw that I ditched middle school to go watch it with my sister. So that is the nostalgia.
You're just kind of naming bad movies now.
The Blair Witch Project. I have Child's Play 2 and 3. I saw both of those in the theater.
That's the first mention of Child's Play 2. Thank you for someone mentioning.
And 3. I kind of like that part 3, the military one too.
Was 3 90s?
Yeah, 90s. I have The Good Son, Army of Darkness, and Sleepwalkers. I really like that Sleepwalkers one.
Yeah, that's good.
Especially when that
Nobody mentioned Faculty.
Oh, the
Sleepwalkers. Yeah, Faculty is another one. Sleepwalkers is the having sex with your mother fucking cat movie. It's like a crazy movie.
And a guy gets stabbed in the back with a corn on the cob and shit.
Yeah. All right. So you want to hear my interesting fact about my top 5?
Let's hear it.
4 of my 5 movies. This was not, trust me, I did not try to do this. 4 of my 5 movies was released in 1990.
I was going to mention that. It didn't seem like you wanted to even go into the 90s because 4 of them were 1990.
So what that, yeah, exactly. So what that can tell you is I'm such a huge fan of the 80s because let's face it, 1990 and 1989 are basically the same fucking bullshit, right? So I had 4 films that were 1990, which probably had that, state of mind. Like they were 1980 films.
They were pretty much made in the late 1989.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, and let's face it, Craft was like a one-off. Like that's 1996. Like no one thought that was gonna be in my top 5. Everything else was 1990, right there at the cusp of fucking the 80s. So that I thought that was dope.
Okay, so I want to hear the ones that you picked for us, the 5. You've already said 2.
Yeah. Right. Let's hear it.
The other 3.
Oh, I was really bad on that. So Candyman, I got that one right. Silence of the Lambs. Again, Silence of the Lambs in 7. I can't believe they're not on your list.
I feel like Silence of the Lambs is too good for this list, to be honest.
I mean, Silence of the Lambs would be definitely in the horror category, right?
I think I took it out just because I'm like, I think it's too good to be on this list.
I think you guys started thinking kind of in the mentality of let me not do the same shit as everybody else is doing, which is good. I think, the opposite happened. Child's Play 2, I thought would be definitely in one of your lists. And it was in honorable mentions by Mario, I think, only.
Yeah, I like that one.
Which is surprising because Child's Play 2 is considered better than Child's Play 1 by a lot of people. So I don't know. Jason Goes to Hell.
Hell yeah.
I had on both of your lists.
It wasn't on mine.
You let me down.
Yeah, that's strange. That wasn't on yours, actually. That was a strange one. Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem strange?
Yeah.
And that's it. Child's Play 2, Jason Goes to Hell, 7, Silence on the Lambs, Candyman. They're not Candyman. Candyman. So that's it.
Yeah, in retrospect, I mean, it looked, like you said, you didn't want to leave the 80s, and it looked like on Zomberry's list, he wanted to just go into the new millennium.
Yeah.
Because he has 3 1999 movies. So it looks like he wants to come into like the more modern movies.
It seems like I started liking movies a little more into the 2000s, the horror, because they started coming out with really good like remakes.
Yeah, Zomber, you're kind of like
Yeah.
all over. Like you're 90, 92, 96, 99. You're kind of like dispersed throughout the 90s.
Oh, yeah,
I think I'm kind of more in the middle because I have 92,
Yeah.
93, 96, 95, and then 190, 1991.
I got a 90, a 90.
Yeah, I feel like
92, a 99.
I feel like 1980s are the best horror decade.
Yeah.
For sure, right?
Or 70s.
Yeah.
No, I think 80s got it.
Oh, because it has such a variety.
Yeah, I think 80s got it. And then I would say 70s is second. And I don't like, maybe people that are like in their 70s, like I can understand how people say, well, wait, the first Frankenstein movies and the
the classic Universal,
the classic Universal films. Like I get that. I can see why people say that what would that even be? The 60s? I can see
like the 30s and 40s.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's even further back, right? So I can see where they come with that, but if you're trying to put the 90s in your top, you're fucking insane. I would even, like I said, I would even see there's an argument to say that the 2000 to 2010 might be better than the 90s.
Yeah, I think so.
I would like to maybe we need to do that next.
The 2000s doesn't have trimmers though, so maybe not.
The 2000s has a bunch of Tremors films.
Yeah, but not the first one.
And listen, all I know is the 2000s has The Fucking Witch. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. So let's bring it. I don't know what year that came out. That might be 2010 plus. I don't know, man. The 2000s is a kind of strange basket. You're like, what's better, the 2000 to 2009 or 2010 to 2000 or 2009 or 2010 to fucking?
I don't know. I'm
2020.
thinking like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake and the Dawn of the Dead remake are all in the 2000s, right? And wasn't the
Grudge? Yeah, the Grudge movie.
Oh yeah.
Everything after 2000 kind of blends together for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all the same decade. Yeah, everything after 2000 is all one decade.
Who knows? That might be next year's podcast episode. But
I think 5's too much, man. You got to do 10 probably.
But you said 5's too much, but you want to do 10?
Yeah, I think 5's tough. Well, 5 was definitely tough for the 90s. It's hard to put 5 in the 90s for sure.
Yeah.
If we did 10, I don't know if I could go 8 hours.
we would be here 8 hours.
That's the only thing I'm thinking too, man. I'm like, that's rough.
Hey, but you guys know, you guys have been here on the podcast before. It's tradition around here to play a little trivia game at the end of the episode.
Fuck your trivia.
So with that, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break and come back for a little trivia game.
Can we talk during the commercial break?
Go ahead, talk during this commercial.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dreadful, and this is the Dr. Dreadful Food Lab. Makes lots of gross things, and then you eat them. Dr. Dreadful's monster skin. Care for a tasty tarantula? Fly?
Mario.
Cockroach? You can make swarms! And now magic powder, stir, and... Monster brains! Foodies!
Why is
Dr.
Mario
Dreadful
paused?
Food Lab makes gross things again and again.
Hey guys, it's your host El Tiburon. Just FYI, the podcast decided to stop recording during the trivia game. So there is no trivia game recording, but just to give you a little ESPN recap of what happened during the trivia game. In the middle of the trivia game, Mr. Double PM just left the podcast. Just said, see you guys later, and left. And at the end of the trivia game, Tylord won 6-1. I had them listen to 90s horror movie clips, and Tylord got most of the clips in the first sentence. So Tylord's undefeated streak continues. Back to your regularly scheduled program now.
Elvira here, Mistress of the Dark and sometimes Surfer Babe, because Coors Light is the official beer of Halloween, and the party's at the beach. Malibu Beach, where you can hang 10. Look, Frankie and Annette. And of course, when it's time to chill, just reach for that cooler of Coors Light. Aged ice cold, never frozen stiff. It's the right beer now for Halloween. Just look for the silver bullet smooth display and dig up your friends now for a party at the beach. Happy Halloween.
All right, first time ever on the podcast, someone leaves the podcast before it. So for DVDs, Nuts and Popcorn, I'll put links to his YouTube channel in the show notes of this episode. So if you want to check out his YouTube channel, DVDs, Nuts and Popcorn. I don't think he does anything on the Mr. Tightwhite channel anymore, right?
Very rarely does. I think maybe once a year. I don't.
Yeah,
you know how it is with video. You know how it is with video games now. It's hard to find anything. I guess you guys don't have a hard time.
Oh, I just found a nice stack, a bag full of games.
Oh, very good.
I'll send you guys a picture in our group chat. Yeah, but I'll put his link to his channels on the show notes. What about you, Tyler? Let them know where they can find you.
I'll be at Tylord Stevenson on YouTube. I usually upload just very amateur babblings about movies. I physical media purchases I make every week. Probably will cut back after I go back to work. I'm off on disability now, but so I'm cranking out a lot of stuff now, but I'll probably not be so active on YouTube after that. And then if you want to be my friend on Instagram, I'm Tylord79 on Instagram. I usually don't post anything there, but that's a fun little place to interact with people and look at pretty ladies.
Big booty Latinas.
Yeah, exactly.
Zomberry still no chance to start a YouTube or anything?
No, I do have a GoPro now. I just don't have a mount for it. Or I might be doing some YouTube stuff here in the future.
All right.
Like for yard sales, or what do you mean?
Yeah, probably yard sale stuff.
Dude, do a game room tour.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
You almost have a complete 64 collection.
Yeah, I'm six shy of the complete set.
Yeah, let's at least just see that. I would be good with just seeing that.
If you if anybody listening has 6 of them or wants to know which 6, I guess you could reach me on Discord. My name on Discord is Zomberry and the number sign 6775.
Very good. For me, just all the social medias, RetroTiburon, or go to the website, RetroTiburon.com for all the podcast episodes on there. Because we're going to get going, guys. See you guys on the other side.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks a lot for having us.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah, that was a good time.